It's been a busy week for IPFW on the athletics front. Action took place: men's basketball, women's basketball, men's volleyball, and women's tennis. This week we'll try to touch base on all these sports, as we hope to have talks with head coach Doug Knoll from men's basketball, head coach Eric Burns from tennis. Got my old sidekick Ryan Perrott going to come by and talk about men's volleyball. And we hope to talk with Tyler Clevenger, a member of the men's basketball team as well. Our show is called Mastodon Spotlight, and it's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Amanda Tapping. On Stargate SG-1, my character discovered that the Stargate could be used as a key to unlock an endless variety of adventures. Your key for endless adventure is a good education. Don't limit your options. Stay in school.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Maas. Welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. Well, as I said a moment ago, busy week last week for IPFW athletics. Men's basketball, women's basketball, men's volleyball team, and even the women's tennis team got their season started. But we're going to take a quick review of what actually happened, and we're going to start off with men's volleyball. Matches last Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, Arnie Ball's Mastodons took on St. Francis of Pennsylvania. First time these two schools have met. And Mastodons did quick work. They won the match in 3 games by scores of 30-24, 30-16, and 30-20, improving their record to 2-1. Matt Bashesky, the sophomore out of Toronto, Canada, had 10 kills to lead the IPFW attack, and he only played the first 2 games out of the 3. But it was a good win for the Dons, building momentum following their split with Santa Barbara the week before. And then Sunday, in a match that you saw here on College 56 Sports, IPFW took on George Mason University, a team that defeated us twice last year. And it was a tough match, but the Mastodons prevailed, winning in straight sets by scores of 30-27, 30-26, and 30-28. Matt Bashesky again with 16 kills, Jeff Patak with 11, and Dennis Santiago with 33 assists leading the way. Tough match, but the Mastodons prevailed. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail about this match later in our program when my old sidekick Ryan Perrott visits us, and you can also hear more about it on the Arnie Ball Show here on College 56 as well. But men's volleyball 3-1, and they've got a couple of matches this weekend at home against Dalhousie, a school from Nova Scotia, Canada. So that's the men's volleyball. Then we turn our attention to women's basketball. From our last show a week ago, Coach Bruce Patterson's team had 3 games that they played. Last Wednesday night they took on Cleveland State, a member of the Horizon League, and came out on the short end of an 80-65 score. They fell behind at halftime, trailed 45-35, just couldn't get going. Cleveland State shot extremely well, hit 63% of their shots in the first half, ended up hitting 53% of their shots for the game. Had a gal named Erica Radabush, had 24 points, including 4 3-pointers. IPFW did have 5 players in double figures, led by Lindy Carey with 13 points, but they just couldn't get over the hump, and they lost a tough one, 80-65. Then last Friday, they traveled to Eastern Illinois, about a 4.5 hour bus ride, and they came away with the road win. And it was a big win for the Mastodons. They won the ball game 71-68. They had a 31-25 lead at halftime, and Amy Geralds had a game-high 23 points, 19 of them in the first half. And they had a lead, fell behind, came back, and held on at the end. In addition to Amy Geralds with 23 points, sophomore Courtney Nicely had 17, and junior point guard Maggie Bruning had 16 points. So a big road win, 71-68 over Eastern Illinois. And then on Monday night, they were back home here at the Gates Center. A wild ball game against Youngstown State, another member of the Horizon League. And this was a game of runs. During the course of the ball game, IPFW had a 13-0 run, a 14-0 run, a 15-0 run and end up scoring the last 7 points of overtime. They won the ball game 80-77 in overtime. Maggie Bruning had to hit a free throw with 14 seconds to go to tie the ball game at 68. At one point, the Dons led by 21 points with just over 13 minutes to go. But Youngstown State came back. Maggie Bruning hit a free throw, went into overtime. Youngstown State scored the first 7 points of overtime, but then IPFW came back. Key three-point play from Lindy Carey, a three-point field goal from Amy Gerolds, and then some free throws down the stretch. And the Dons won 80-77, second win in a row, fifth on the year, one more than the entire season last year. So kudos to Bruce Patterson and his squad. They're going to try for 3 in a row Saturday against Lipscomb University. Again, you'll see here on Channel 56 at 1 p.m. And then the men's basketball team briefly had 2 ball games. On Tuesday night, they were at Chicago State, a member of the Mid-Con. And tough ball game. IPFW fell behind, came back and won 67-63. So they got their third win in a row over Chicago State. They won twice last year. And then they came home Saturday, a game that we brought you here on Channel 56, took on Loyola of Chicago. Member of the Horizon League. They're in 4th place in their league, coached by Larry Farmer, who played at UCLA and coached at UCLA. And unfortunately, they fell on the short end of an 80-71 score. Tough ball game. They had the lead for a while, had the lead early in the second half. Loyola came back, had a big lead. We cut it down to 1 point, 69-68 with 3.5 minutes to go. But then couldn't do much down the stretch. And in the last less than 2 minutes, Loyola hit 10 free throws, 9 or 10 free throws, and ended up winning 80-71. So tough loss for Doug Knoll, but we'll hear more about that in just a few minutes as the men split their games 1-1. So again, a busy week here at IPFW. Good for the men, they split 2 games. Good for the women, they won 2 out of 3. And volleyball won both their matches. Now we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we had a chance to speak with Doug Knoll following last Saturday's game with Loyola. And you'll see that interview when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
I can listen.
I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help.
You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
It is more than a trial by fire. It is a rite of passage, a challenge to join the elite. And if you succeed, if you can master your fear, outsmart your enemy, and never yield even to yourself, you will be changed forever. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I helped turn my child's public school into one with extended hours, 6 days a week year-round, filled with loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One with medical and dental services right there. A school where students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. Turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Miles. Welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. This week, the first half of the program, we're going to talk men's basketball. We have with us the head coach of IPFW men's basketball, Doug Knoll. And Doug, there's 2 games we want to talk about. We'll talk about the real good news first, and that was a road victory on Tuesday night at Chicago State, 67-63. Let's talk about that game first, and then we'll talk about the Saturday game.
Well, we just decided Chicago State to go up the day of the game, and it's not too far away, about 3 hours. So, we held serve with Chicago State last year twice, beating them once here for our first Division I win, and then beating them up there again. But I thought they were much improved this year, and on tape, they took Wisconsin-Milwaukee to the wire. They beat Northern Iowa at Chicago State, beat Texas Southern. So they're kind of a dangerous team at home because not a great facility. It's just kind of one that you walk into and you don't really get fired up to play too much. And for whatever reason, we needed to. But we came out, and I thought a little lethargic. Dave Simon got hurt in pregame warm-up, and so that kind of affected him a little bit in the first half. But we just really didn't come out with the emotion and intensity defensively that we needed. And although we were down 1 at halftime, the second half we really dug a hole. I think they ran a 12-2 run on us to start the second half, and even got up by as many as 14 with about 12 minutes to go.
And then the comeback.
Well, yeah, we were pretty fortunate that we decided to start playing some defense, and we really, I think, stopped them like 18 times in the last 22 possessions. And for us, the intensity started with the half-court defense. We got a lot of steals, got our hands in the passing lanes, and then that led to transition and easier scores. Then there was about 3 minutes where nobody could score from about the 7 to the 4 minute mark, and we beat them by 4. 67-63, but Dave Simon had to hit 2 free throws with about a second and a half left. So we'd had a 5-point lead down the stretch. They brought it back to 1. We let them score a putback off a free throw, which was disappointing. But we did hold on, and any road win is good these days. And I felt like we really battled. We did what we had to do to get a win, and we didn't play as good throughout the whole game that I'd liked, but we did step it up in the last 12 minutes, and that was winning time, and we did.
We look at some of the numbers, and there's 2 of them that stick out in my mind. Balanced scoring, you had 4 players in double figures. Jim Kesnick had 14, and then Brad, Dave, and Terry Collins had 11. And the other thing that came to my mind was, and you had mentioned, you started Tyler Clevenger instead of D. Coming off the bench, D had 9 points, and Brad came off the bench and had 11. 20 points off the bench. 22 total, but 20 from those 2 guys, both seniors. That had to be a big shot in the arm.
Well, yeah, I mean, D is our leader. He's our point guard. He's done a great job here for 4 years, and you just don't take him out of the lineup. But and we didn't. We just didn't start him. Tyler had been playing well. I didn't think D had given us the spark or the leadership, that we really needed from what the coaches wanted. And so Tyler had scored 15 points in the Moorhead game, had 8 in the second half against Utah, and really felt like Tyler was doing some good things for us. But the one great thing about D'Angelo is he didn't get down, he didn't quit, he didn't pout. He stepped up and he looked good in warm-ups. He came out, he was intense, he played well. And really, it's hard to convince these kids, but it's all about who finishes and not who starts, Mike. And D was in there at the end of the game and really did a great job scoring, giving us some assists, some steals. And him and Brad, both seniors, played a lot down the stretch. Brad had 11, which was good to see him. And he also led us with 7 rebounds, which was kind of ironic. But and did a great job. Dave was solid, with 11 points. Got in a little foul trouble, and of course Kess got some scores off running the floor. And so really pleased with that group and how they participated, especially our 2 seniors.
Well, again, the final score Tuesday night was IPFW 67, Chicago State 63. As we're taping this interview, it is Saturday afternoon, and we played Loyola Chicago, a game that we broadcast on Channel 56. And that was the bad news of sorts, because the final score, and it wasn't indicative of this game, was Loyola 80, IPFW 71, a lot closer than the final score indicated. But this was a tough game from the opening tip.
Yeah, no doubt. They're very physical. I thought we matched them. toughness to toughness, especially in the red zone. But they have a little more depth than we have, and that hurt because we got in foul trouble. 2 of our guys ended up fouling out, Kyle Thrasher and Dave. Kess had 4. And when you look at those 3 guys, those are our 3 big guys. And we really struggled to Band-Aid some things and put it together in the second half to keep some momentum going. But that wore us down. I just watched some of the tape at the end of the game, and it looked like it was 35 seconds left, and it was still a 3-point game. Yeah. And so you're right, the score is not indicative. I think the thing that I'm most mad at is the last play of the game where with 2.5 seconds to go, we fouled them down 76-71, and they made 2 free throws. We threw a lazy pass inbounds. They stole it, missed the shot, but the guy tips it in, and now it's 80-71, and 2 seconds ago, it was 76-71. And, we lost, but, you like them to finish games, finish plays, and we threw a lazy pass. We tried to make a lazy catch, and, that probably irritates me more than the rest of the game, because I thought we really stepped up and played tough. Terry had a really a subpar game. He had 0 for 7 from the floor. I think he had 2 points, and he was averaging about 18 a game the last 8 or 9 ball games, and so that really hurt us. But we had some kids step up again. I can't talk enough about D'Angelo. David Bailey's the leading scorer in the Horizon League. He's very good. He's 5'8", but D matched him toe to toe. He held him to 6. D scored 15, and wow, that was a battle. And give that to D again this year. Both years he's played superb, and I think that fires him up. And the other day I just told him and Brad, just go out and have fun, enjoy, don't worry about things, play hard, but leave with no chips in your pocket. Walk out of here knowing that you give your best and have fun with it, and they really did. And then Rick Wyan, wow, Rick's missed about the last 5 or 6 games, Mike, and really played well today.
Yeah, let me go back to D first. There was a play in the first half. We were down, and he got the steal, and he went in, and I remember saying, ready to say, lay it up, and all of a sudden he tomahawked it and slammed it home. Got the team fired up, got the crowd fired up, got Charlie Washington and me fired up even more. But that Uncle Mo came to the blue and white at that point. I think at that point we were down either 3 or 4 or 5, and he got us back into the game, and it was a 1-point game at the break. And as you say, Rick, I was thrilled to death to see him warming up before the game, because we didn't know whether he was going to finish the season or not. And I remember him telling me, he said, "Look, I decided. Doctor said it can't get much worse. I'm just going to suck it up. It's going to be sore, but I want to help the team." And he came and scored 15 points, kept us in it.
Yeah, I thought specifically those 2 individuals really played well. You could tell Rick got winded late in the game, but D got us going with that steal and dunk, and then in the second half, that was in the first half. And what happened really after that steal? We ran a play from out of bounds we call UConn, and we set up kind of a double screen going one way and then a triple screen going the other way, and we have them flaring out, and by the time D went one way and then crossed back to go the other way, everybody was out, so he put it between his legs and crossed over again and went in and just threw it down, and that really, like you said, that got us going. And then the second half, much the same thing, but what happened late in the game, we were down 3, had the ball, we got it into Dave Simon. He got the shot block, got it back, but he wasn't strong with the ball, and David Bailey ripped him and got the steal, and that really hurt because they went down and got a foul and scored and got it to 5, and then the rest was history, as they say. But disappointed in the way we finished, but really pleased with the 39 minutes, 30 seconds of really intense, tough basketball.
I have one other comment, and then we'll look into the future. One of the big turning points in this ball game was your big men. God, for whatever reason, I'm going to phrase it that way because I don't want to jump. I'm a former official and so forth, but it just seemed like there were a couple of questionable calls. But at one point, early in the second half, David Simon had 4 fouls, Jim Kesnick had 4 fouls, Cal Thrasher had 4 fouls, and Brandon Jennings had 2 fouls. Larry Farmer, the head coach for Loyola, is not dumb. I mean, he played at UCLA, went 89-1 as a player under John Wooden. he knew what to do, and they had two big men, and Demetrius Williams, number 44, ended up with 24 points and 8 rebounds, and Paul McMillan was number 34 for Loyola, ended up with 22 points and 12 rebounds. And the fact that our big men were in trouble, Loyola knew what to do and they hammered it inside, but to you and your team's credit, you hung in there.
Yeah.
And you got some points. And even though we didn't win the game, and I know we've talked moral victories throw out the window, one positive, the fact that you were able to play with a team in spite of adversity, having all your big men at one point on the bench. At one point you had a lineup of the runts. Rick Wine and the 4 runts, the 4 smallest guys on the floor, and you were able to stay in the ball game, and that's got to help you for future ball games.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've looked at this season now as a 12-game season. We had 2 this week, so we're down to 10 right now. But we really believe that, and we really want to tell the kids, that they can go out with a winning season, 7-5 or 8-4, and that's really our goal, Mike. And that was the frustrating part. I mean, we go on the road, and I've gotten 1 technical in the last 2 years, and I've maybe gotten 2 or 3 technicals in 4 years I've been here. So I don't really get verbal with the refs, and I really don't, get on them much. I try to pick and choose my battles, but it is really frustrating when you go on the road. You're not going to get the calls. I mean, Nebraska, we shot our first free throw with 6 minutes to go in the game, and I'm not crying about it because that's life. You move on, but it just seems like, even at home, we don't get the calls. And part of it was we weren't in position today to box them out. We got out of position, then our box outs were late. We got some fouls. But, I can't worry about those things, but it is frustrating, and you just got to keep working at it. But, we had our chances down the stretch. Some of the guys, have to learn that, you got to dial it up even harder down in winning time and crunch time. And this group has been such a good, positive group. I'm so pleased with them. But, it did take us out of our game with everybody getting 4 fouls, and it is frustrating. I thought it was a call that maybe didn't have to be made late in the game because, our hands were vertical and we didn't reach down, we didn't hack, and they called the foul with 35 seconds to go with us down 3, but those are the things, and I'm not going to dispute that a whole lot and lose sleep over that. I'm going to try to be ready to go practice tomorrow, and because we do have three big road games, next week or in the next 8 days or so. So we got to look at that and come back and get better as a basketball team. But I'll tell you what, I'm positive. I'm thrilled. Like I said, our RPI shows that we're a good basketball team. We're getting better. We're about 250 right now. There's probably 75 teams below us, and this is our first year. So we make that much of a jump every year. Shoot, in 3 years we're going to be pretty good, aren't we? But we'll be realistic. But at the same time, we want to keep punching up to that low 200, and then sneak up in the upper 100s in a few years, and really just keep working hard. And so it is frustrating, but what a great group of kids to be around. Tomorrow it'll be fun to be with them again and watch some tape of this game tonight and go out and see a game and just be ready to go.
Well, briefly, the time we've got left, let's look ahead. As this show is being taped, you will have already played Middle Tennessee State, but we owe them because they came into our place last year and walked out with the W. Briefly, if you can, Doug, talk about Middle Tennessee State and your trip down to Texas.
Well, I haven't taken a look at them yet. We just got done with this game, Mike. You always put me on the spot.
I know I put you on the spot. Don't mean to.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot because I haven't even looked at tape. But we've got a scouting report done, and I'll be looking at it tonight and tomorrow and Monday, of course. But that's for my assistants to do, and they do a great job. Joe had a great scout on this game. We had 2 great practices. We were ready to play and just came up short. But for Middle Tennessee State, we lost by 10 at home last year. They shoot the ball well. They get up and down the floor well. They got a new coaching staff, so that'll be interesting to see. Plus, we're playing down there. But this has got to give us a big lift to go down there and play them. That's the game Keon Henderson got hurt, unfortunately. But we'll get back on Wednesday, and then Friday we head back down to Texas to Pan American in Corpus Christi. Again, I think 2 winnable games on the road. We've got to play well. We've got to stay out of foul trouble. We've got to contain, and defensively we've got to play great in the half court. We've got to rebound. And then we hop back here in 2 weeks for a Saturday home game against, I think, Youngstown State.
Correct.
But all 4 winnable games. So, you know, these guys, if they don't get down, they keep staying high and keep working hard. I think we can do that.
We wish you well. Have a safe trip. Bring back some W's, and we will see you shortly down the road.
We hope so. Thanks, Mike.
We've been talking with head coach Doug Knoll. The men's basketball team will take a break and come back with more of Mastodon Spotlight in just a moment.
You'd never know it on the battlefield, but nearly half of today's military are National Guard and reservists. However, they can't answer our nation's call without their employer's support. If you're an employer, visit esgr.org and find out how to do your part. After all, their response depends on yours.
Following the tragic events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation, under God,
Indivisible.
With liberty
and justice
For all.
in America, there's either room for everyone or it's not America.
Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Hey, I got a fillet of sole and a cracked crab for Mr. Studied higher math back in school and now can order expensive lunches and charge it to the company.
He's in a meeting. I'm his never studied algebra, calculus, or any other kind of math. Now I'm stuck in this dead-end job assistant.
Can you sign for it?
It's about the only thing I'm qualified to do. That and answer phones for Mr. AP Calculus and number theory expert with the big office upstairs.
Have a good one.
You too.
May he bless you and keep you. May he grant you peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all for coming. I'll see you all next week, and please be careful going home.
This is me, and my mom and dad, and my big brother Alex, and Jack. This is the day I learned that sandals got their name from sand, and that the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget I was sick. This was my wish.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now for one of my favorite parts of this program, a chance to speak to a student athlete here at the university. And this week we have a chance to speak with a member of the men's basketball team, and we're happy to welcome to the program freshman Tyler Clevenger. Welcome, Tyler. Since I just screwed up and we're reshooting this spot, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
I'm from Winchester, Indiana, which is about an hour and a half south of here. Just go on Highway 27 straight down. Just played 4 years varsity football, 4 years varsity basketball, and decided that I wanted to go to college for basketball instead of football. And some things went wrong with recruiting, and Coach Andrews called me up beginning of my senior season and was like, "Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I took one visit and told my varsity coach that's where I want to go, and I signed.
What sold you on the university so quickly?
Well, the other schools that I had recruit me at the time was Valparaiso and Eastern Kentucky. I liked Eastern Kentucky's campus, but their program was a little lacking. And Valparaiso's program, as everyone knows, is pretty high up there. But I didn't really enjoy the campus atmosphere there. And when I came here and I met the guys were real cool, and I seemed like it fit in better, and I really liked the coaching staff. And I just knew that even if I got an offer from Valparaiso or Eastern Kentucky, I didn't want to go. And that this is where I wanted to go.
What's your field of study here at the university?
I believe I'm changing it after this semester to elementary education. I was secondary education, but I think I'm going to go elementary education.
What's your freshman year been like, both in the classroom and on the basketball floor?
I've enjoyed it a lot of learning. You know, Coach likes to use the analogy, be like a sponge and soak everything up, and I've been trying to do that, so I've enjoyed it.
For most of the year, you've come off the bench and you've been like a spark plug. I know in some of the games that we broadcast either on radio or on TV, you've come in and you've given this team a lift, whether it's with your hustle or your defense or hitting a three-point shot. Maybe a silly question, but what do you feel is the best part of your game, scoring or defense? Because you've done well in both.
Well, defense, that kind of surprised me because that was always my worst point in high school. Mainly, I just try to come in and pick up the team. I think that's like if we're in a rut or something, I just kind of come off the bench and hopefully I can get something started and then have D come back in and keep it going. So I think my three-point shot right now is probably the best part of my game, but that's my opinion.
What's the biggest difference that you have seen in yourself from playing high school basketball last year to playing Division I college basketball this year?
I'd say my defense, really, because in high school Coach always wanted to save me for the offensive end. He said, you're going to play on the worst player. You play defense on the worst player and come down and look to score. So, and I've been playing every point guard that we played against, so I think my defense has really stepped up this year, more than I did in high school.
Let's talk about the season, because as we taped this interview, your team has only won 4 games, but you've been in a lot of games. I know Coach and I have talked in previous shows. You can't define success by the number of wins you have. But from a player's standpoint, what's the season been like for you?
It's been frustrating at times. You know, you're in games and it comes down to the last 3 or 4 minutes and you're down by 3 and then you end up losing by 13. And that's more frustrating than anything. But I think overall as a team, with only having 3 guys that played more than a full season of college basketball, I think when you sit down and look at that, I think it's been a success for all of us to grow and learn as the younger players with, you know, only 1 junior and 2 seniors. So I think it's been a success, the way I look at it.
You still got 10 games left. You go back on the road, because as we tape this game, we just come off a hard-fought 80-71 loss to Loyola of Chicago. But you've got, I think, 10 games left. As this show is going to be aired, you've played Middle Tennessee State, and then you're going to be in Texas for a couple of games. What do you think you can do, both individually and you and your teammates can do in these last 10 ball games to come out with a few more W's?
I think it's just we need to learn as a team how to finish off a game, and it looked that way at Chicago State. I think we're coming along and learning how to do that. And now that we're playing teams more on our level, these last 10 games, that's something that as a team we need to learn. Individually, I just need to keep playing with confidence that I had in some of the games that I played well this year. And like the Chicago State game, I didn't have any confidence in myself, and it definitely shows on the floor when you come out without confidence. So
I was going to ask a question, but I'm going to be nice.
You go ahead.
I won't make mention of the fact that you happen to be dating the daughter of the head coach. But added pressure on your end?
Not so much. He's made it real. You know, he made it a little more relaxing, but a little bit more pressure on the fact of how well she does in her season, and just the coach basically knowing where you're at all times now. So, but he doesn't put more pressure on me to play well just because of that, and he wants me to play well either way, if I wasn't dating her or if I was. So.
Last question. You and I have had this running battle most of the season. I hate black shoes. You wear black shoes. You promised one of these games to wear white shoes. Which game's it going to be?
Our next home game is Youngstown, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'll wear some white shoes on Youngstown State. I promise you the white shoes.
Thanks for being with us. Congratulations on the season so far, even though the W's aren't there. You've ignited this team on some occasions. We wish you the best both on the floor and in the classroom. And thanks for appearing on the program.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Tyler Clevenger, a freshman member of the men's basketball team. We'll take a break and come back with more of Mastodon Spotlight in just a moment.
step out of the car. Open up the trunk. Check inside. What's going on? Hands on the car. Bingo. Got it.
Today's teenagers, the way people talk, you'd think they can't do anything right. It's just not so. We get to know over 300,000 kids a year, smart kids, who know what they want. They believe in themselves, and they believe in America. Some go straight to college. Others choose to learn leadership, discipline, courage, and commitment first with us. Today's military, making a stronger America, one good kid at a time.
A new century is coming, and with it, 1,000 questions. Will your family ever be in harm's way? Will a small town in Texas be hit with a hurricane? Will your daughter ever need a new kind of blood treatment? We have no crystal ball.
Them. Help World Wildlife Fund protect animals in the places where they live by ordering a free action kit. Together, we can leave our children a living planet.
Come in, she said, I'll give ya shelter from the storm.
I'm sick of this. I'm sick of dealing with you. I'm sick of
I work 6 days a week.
Who do you think you
Stand
are?
up straight.
Don't you ever talk back to me again! You just shut up!
What are you crying about?
What a child learns about violence, a child learns for life. Teach carefully. We can show you how. Act against violence. Call 877-ACT-WISE for a free brochure.
What is a hero? Are heroes born, or are they made? In after-school programs, your kids will uncover hidden strengths, discover they have the power to change their future, and find the hero inside themselves. Let us know you on after-school programs in your area. Call 1-800-USA-LEARN. After-school programs, helping kids find the hero within.
I wasn't going to school because I was hanging with the wrong crowd. And one day I was put into juvie for 2 stolen cars, robbery of a house, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. When I was locked up, that's when I really realized that, it wasn't for me. Like, I was only in there 2 months, but to me that was enough. It'd be better for me to stay in school, just get my education. I think I'm happier now. I know I'm happier now.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now to shift gears from the basketball court to the tennis court. Believe it or not, IPFW tennis is underway for the 2003 season, and we're happy to have with us the head coach for both men's and women's tennis, Eric Burns. Welcome back to the program.
Hello.
It's cold outside, it's snowy outside, and yet your women's team played a match last Saturday.
Yeah, we got going about 2 weeks ago with women's practice, and 1 week ago with the men. Practice is at 7 a.m. right now, and we're trying to fight off the cold as well as we can, but we're going indoors down at Wildwood Racket Club, and practice has gone pretty well so far. The Ball State match was a pretty tough one. Ball State probably being the second best team on our schedule as far as the women go, but actually middle of the pack team in the MAC, but the MAC has a strong conference. But I felt we competed okay. We lost 7-0, but we had some good performances, some good sets. Jill Carey played a nice second set against her opponent. Michelle Humphrey had a good match and played good tennis. I thought we were a little nervous to start, but as the match went on, we started to get used to the pace. That's the biggest difference between a team like Ball State and maybe some of the other teams we play, is the pace they play at.
Before we talk about some of the upcoming matches, I want to clarify a point. the men's team is actually in a conference.
Yes.
The women's team is not, but the men's team has actually got a conference title to take a shot at, and that's in the Mid-American Conference.
Yeah. And again, a very strong tennis conference. You've got 3 teams that are looking at a possibility of being nationally ranked. Ball State being one of them that's won the MAC numerous times. Another team is Northern Illinois, who looks to get stronger. I think this spring they've got another player coming in who wasn't with them in the fall, and they were strong in the fall at some of the invitationals we were at. And then Western Michigan just the other day picked up a couple of wins over some ranked opponents, Indiana State and Michigan. So they're going to be a very strong team too. So those 3, and then Toledo is no slouch either, and then you've got Buffalo. So it's going to be tough for us, but we're going to get in there and we're going to do our best.
Unfortunately, we don't have too much time, but let's look ahead. You've got the schedules in front of you. Talk about some of the upcoming matches for both men's and women's tennis.
Well, coming up for the women this weekend, we've got Indiana State, another strong team, and I made strong schedules, to work on playing position. That's the only way we're going to get better than we are. So we're playing a tough team. They're probably about as good as Ball State, or maybe a little less, but nevertheless a good team. And then the next weekend we'll get the men's season kicked off, and actually the MAC season kicked off with a match down at Ball State, an indoor match down there, and then we'll turn around the next day and head to Butler for a match with Butler on the men's side, and also a women's match at Butler. So some pretty tough matches coming up, but this is a tough stretch, but it'll only pay off for us in the long run.
I know we have to rely on Mother Nature, but when do you foresee the matches changing from playing indoors to playing outdoors?
Well, about the time we go to Hilton Head, they'll probably move outside. But I don't know. It's so funny. Last year, I figured, late March we'll maybe get some good weather and be able to move outside, and it really didn't happen until April. So we'll see what happens this year. I mean, I hope we get outside by March, but I'm not. Keep my fingers too crossed on that.
Got time for one more question. Optimism on these teams?
Yeah, I think there is. One thing the men's team lacks a little is experience, and they're not really sure what to expect. But I think the future is bright, and I think they know that. It's just going to take some time and some dedication on their part and on our part to get them to where they need to be. Women's team, a little bit older team, but yet they're kind of young because a lot of them are transfers from junior college tennis, and they're just now getting used to playing Division I tennis. And it's going to take some time, but I think both teams' days are good. The future is good for both teams.
Wish we had more time, but we don't. I'm appreciative that you're coming in. We wish you well, and we hope to see some of the players on future shows. But at least you're underway. Stay warm and keep them inside.
All right, thank you.
Eric Burns has been our guest, head tennis coach for both men and women here at IPFW. We'll take a break, and then an old friend returns to the set, and that's when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
As time flows on, there are places we return to again and again. Places that comfort us with their serenity. Places that astound us with their beauty. Places where our memories come to life. Precious places, timeless places, places that with your help can endure forever. I'm Paul Newman. Help the Nature Conservancy save the last great places around the world.
I was a liberal arts major in college.
I didn't speak a second language.
What could I?
What could I offer the Peace Corps?
The answer surprised me. I served in South Africa teaching HIV/AIDS awareness.
Working with my students in Nicaragua was a great experience. We taught each other a lot about our countries and cultures.
This is the Peace Corps today.
Redefine your world. Join the Peace Corps.
Apply now at peacecorps.gov.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you?
You put me on the spot.
True or false? Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer.
True. I'd say false.
No, it's true.
That's something new to me.
The Office of the Surgeon General recommends all homes be tested for radon.
False.
It's true.
True.
So that's bad. We should get our house tested. Yeah, I'm gonna call it.
1-800-SOS-RADON. How can you not call?
1-800-SOS-RADON.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now to say hi to an old friend. As we're having on the program my old sidekick for the last 3 years here at Channel 56. But he's deserted me and he's gone to the bench for Ernie Ball. We welcome back to the program Ryan Perrott. How are you?
Good. Nice to be back. Thank you.
Nice to have you here. We miss you. For those of you that don't know, Ryan has been my right-hand man for volleyball and women's basketball the last 3 years. And this year, he's not next to me because he's sitting next to Ernie Ball as the #1 assistant for men's volleyball. And first question, how is that going?
It's going quite nicely. It's a lot of work, and it's a different element to what I've been used to over the years as a grad assistant, and of course before that as a player. But the adjustment has been very good. Coach Ball and Coach Johnson and Coach Franke have all welcomed me with open arms, and so far so good.
Is there any one specific responsibility that you have charge over?
Not so much. I try to get input into a lot of different areas, a lot of variety. Obviously, blocking and defense are two things I like to think I excelled at, so I'd like to give some good input there. But for the most part, I try to do everything, try to put input into all the aspects of volleyball.
Team's gotten off to a good start. We lost the first match against UC Santa Barbara, 15-13 in the 5th. Came back 2 days later and took them out in 3. Of course, we had Jeff Patak playing in that second match, and we didn't have him playing in the first match. And then this past weekend, St. Francis of PA, a first-time meeting, and I'm probably getting in trouble for saying this. It wasn't much of a match because we took control. I know at one point 14-4, 14-4, 14-5 in each of the three games, and we ended up winning rather easily. But we had a tougher time Sunday against George Mason, the team that defeated us last year. Your thoughts on the weekend's matches first, and then on this team?
Yeah, well, we played pretty decent volleyball. Obviously, there's still a lot of improvement to go with this team. We're playing with a lot of confidence now. Our strength thus far, at least, has been our serving, especially for Matt Spashevsky, Angel Ruiz, and Sidar Sika. But for the most part, you know, we're starting to build on what we went down to Puerto Rico to train in order to do, and that was to get better as a volleyball team with some good chemistry and some leadership. And you know, for the most part, we've shown that early here in the first, 4 or 5 matches of the season. On this team, the potential is there to do a lot of great things. Of course, there will always be question marks on, you know, Patak's health, Spashevsky's health, Dennis Santiago setting-wise, our middles. It's just the all-around game. The potential is there. We have the bodies. The question is, can we continue to improve week in and week out?
You mentioned the injury factor, and it's such a nice thing to see Jeff Patak and Matty Bashevsky back in the lineup. And you mentioned the chemistry. Yes, there's some seasoned leaders back, Jeff and Matty and Angel Ruiz, and Dennis Santiago's in his second year getting more comfortable as the setter.
Right.
But you got a lot of freshmen. And some of the names I'm still having trouble with, like Sidar. I don't know, is it Sika or Sikcha?
I'm sure it's Sikcha. That's what I'm sure it is, but I've Anglo-Saxed it, I guess.
We're picked to finish 4th in the MIVA, believe it or not, behind Ball State, Lewis, and Loyola. Is that a fair
I have no idea. I have no idea. Because when I played, I never paid attention to that, and now as an assistant coach, I don't pay any attention to that. Not a big fan of polls, not a big fan of predictions, not a big fan of preseason mambo-jumbo. Hey, it's great. We're picked 4th. That's probably better than what we were picked last year. I think it was like 6th or 7th in our conference. All I know is the potential is there for this team to do good things. And if we play the way that we're capable of playing and continue to build day in and day out in practice, I'm sure that 4th in April will be won. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of polls or rankings and all that stuff. There's just no need for it, and I don't not pay attention to it.
Let me throw a silly question out at you.
Okay.
You were a player here for 4 years, and now you're a coach. It's a long season.
Yeah.
Technically, we've only played 4 matches, and here we are at the end of January, and we want to go into late April, first weekend of May down at Long Beach. How are you able to get this team to stay focused for that long a period of time? And how were you, especially in '99, when you went to the Final Four? Do you see focus as a problem down the road?
It's a potential for that. I know, especially with my '99 team, we knew it was a marathon and not a sprint. A lot of people think it's a sprint, not a marathon. That's why you play for 4 months of volleyball. These guys, at least in Puerto Rico, proved to myself, Coach Ball, Coach Frankie, Coach John, that they have the capability of getting better every day. They have the capability of being high Division I caliber volleyball players. Now we've only played, of course, 4 matches or something like that. And we're not playing great volleyball. We're playing decent to good volleyball. And so there's still a lot of area for improvement, trying to find guys in different positions. Obviously, all the areas of volleyball, there needs to be improving: serving, passing, blocking, defense, transition game, middles, you name it. So I think this team has the potential for that. And this team, I believe, when they sit down and they examine themselves, say, yeah, I think we are focused on one thing, and that is going in the Final Four and winning a national championship.
I wish we had more time, but we don't. But
time flies by when you're having fun, I tell you.
And how. Good to see you again. Good luck sitting next to Arnie. I know it's going to be a unique experience. But
it's been a great experience. He and the rest of the coaching staff have welcomed me with open arms, and I have learned so much in the short period of time that I've been with Coach Ball on the bench, and that can only get better.
Come back and visit sometime.
I will, definitely. Thanks, Mike.
Ryan Parada has been with us, my former sidekick, now the #1 assistant coach for IPFW men's volleyball. I want to thank Ryan. I want to thank all of our guests this week for appearing on the program. 2 quick program reminders. On Friday and Saturday night, the men's volleyball team in action at the Gate Sports Center against Dalhousie from Nova Scotia. Will not be televised, so to see them, you got to come in person to the Gate Center. First serve, 7 p.m. both nights. Saturday, 1 p.m., we will be on the air with women's basketball. Coach Bruce Patterson's team's going after their 3rd win in a row when they entertain Lipscomb University. Tip-off is at 1 p.m. And next week, we ask you to come back again for another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. But again, that's it for this week. Until next week, this is Mike Maas saying, have a great week and go Dons. As always, a lot of action took place this past week here at IPFW on the athletics front. On this week's edition of Mastodon Spotlight, we'll take a review of what happened on the volleyball court and the basketball court. We're going to have an in-depth interview with Cliff Levingston, one of the assistant coaches for the men's basketball team, and we'll be talking in-depth with head coach Bruce Patterson of the women's team, as well as one of his players, freshman Hillary O'Connell. Our program is called Mastodon Spotlight, and it's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Amanda Tapping. On Stargate SG-1, my character discovered that the Stargate could be used as a key to unlock an endless variety of adventures. Your key for endless adventure is a good education. Don't limit your options. Stay in school.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Maas. Welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. Well, we seem to say it every week. It's busy weekends here at IPFW. volleyball, basketball, both men's and women's. Track and field is underway. We'll be dealing with that in some upcoming programs. We talked with Eric Burns last week. Tennis started on the women's side. Men's get started next weekend. So a lot of things going on. And we're going to do, as we like to do a lot, a little review of what took place this past week. And we're going to start on the volleyball court. This past Friday and Saturday night at the Hilliard Gate Sports Center, Coach Arnie Ball's Volleydons took on the Tigers of Dalhousie. Dalhousie is a school up in Nova Scotia, Canada. An awfully good team. There was some exciting volleyball played. If you didn't make it out, you missed some good volleyball Friday and Saturday night. Both matches went the full 5 games. On Friday night, IPFW came out on top, winning the match by scores of 28-30, 30-18, 19-30, 30-19, and in 18-16 in the decisive 5th game. Volleydons were led by the dynamic duo of senior Jeff Patak and sophomore Matt Bashesky, 20 kills apiece. Archangel Ruiz, I'm going to have fun calling him that this year, had 12 kills, and setter Dennis Santiago had 58 assists. And tough match, 3-2 Volleydons win Friday. Same 2 teams went at it Saturday night, and again, it went the full 5 games. This time, the visitors came out on top. Dalhousie winning by scores of 30-28, 24-30, 28-30, 30-18, and 15-13 in the decisive 5th game. Volleydons, again, led by Jeff Patak. Jeff had a great night, 29 kills, an attack percentage of .423. Matt Bashesky had 16 kills, Archangel Ruiz had 12, and Angel Ruiz Rivera, the latest import, so to speak, from Puerto Rico, had 11 kills, and setter Dennis Santiago had 58 assists again. Tough matches, mirror images of each other, 2 good teams. They did not count, the wins and losses did not count in the standings for IPFW volleyball, and you can find out more in depth of what happened by tuning into the Arnie Ball Show here on College 56 Sports. But that was men's volleyball. Men's basketball, Coach Doug No's Chargers went down to Texas for a pair of games. On Saturday night, they took on Texas Pan American and couldn't stand prosperity. Had a lead at halftime of 28-26. Still had a lead with just under 7 minutes to go. Tied with 3.5 minutes to go. But in the final 3.5 minutes, the Dons were outscored 9-4, and they dropped a 59-54 decision to Texas Pan American. 3 players in double figures. Rick Wine, 15 points. Jim Kesnick with 12 and Brandon Jennings with 11. Dons dropped a tough one, but on Monday night they made amends. They took on Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and they rallied from a 10-point halftime deficit to defeat Corpus Christi 70-68. 3 men in double figures. David Simon, 17 points, 8 of 10 from the floor. Rick Wine, Terry Collins, 14 points apiece. And Rick Wine hit a key free throw with 21 seconds left to preserve the victory, 70-68. So a split on the Texas trip. They're now home next Saturday in a game we'll televise against Youngstown State. And the other events that took place were women's basketball. We're going to talk more in depth later in the program with head coach Bruce Patterson. But they defeated Youngstown State Monday night in overtime, 80-77. And on Saturday, in a game we broadcast here on College 56 Sports, they were victorious over Lipscomb University, 88-73. Again, we'll talk more in detail in a little bit with head coach Bruce Patterson. Time now for a break. When we come back, we had a chance recently to sit down and chat with Cliff Livingston. Cliff is a member of the IPFW men's basketball coaching staff, but he has had great experience as a player on the collegiate and professional level, member of 2 NBA championship teams with Chicago, and I think you'll enjoy that interview. And that interview will take place when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
I can listen.
I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint. I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help. You can help.
Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
It is more than a trial by fire. It is a rite of passage, a challenge to join the elite. And if you succeed, if you can master your fear, outsmart your enemy, and never yield even to yourself, you will be changed forever. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I helped turn my child's public school into one with extended hours, 6 days a week year-round, filled with loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One with medical and dental services right there. A school where students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. Turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. We always try to have when possible interviews with some student athletes here at IPFW, but this week we're going one step further. And I'm happy to have a conversation with the newest assistant basketball coach here at IPFW on the men's side. We're happy to welcome both the university and to Mastodon Spotlight, Cliff Levingston. Cliff, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
We finally get a chance to speak. We've made arrangements to try to talk a few times, and one thing or another has happened. But
the schedule, conflicting schedule. We've been hitting and missing it. When I think I have an open slot, then I don't. Then you have one, then you don't. Right. So, but we finally get it together, and that's all that matters.
The name Cliff Levingston is familiar to a lot of people, but for those who aren't familiar with it, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I played college ball at Wichita State. Got drafted by in the NBA, the 9th pick in the first round in 1982. Spent 2 seasons in Detroit. Then I got traded to Atlanta Hawks. Played 6 seasons in Atlanta Hawks with a lot of great guys. And then contract was up, and I started looking for possible championship teams. And Chicago Bulls ended up being on the list, and went to Chicago, and I was blessed to win 2 championships in Chicago. Went overseas for a couple of years, and then played my last year in Denver, and then I retired. And then I stepped away from basketball for a little while, and seemed like basketball has a way of bringing you back to your roots. And this is what I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing, is teaching these young guys how to really understand this game.
Before we get into the coaching part, gotta ask you, what was it like playing with Michael and Scotty?
Well, playing with them is like traveling with a rock band. I mean, everywhere you go, everybody's banging on the buses. You got to go through back entrances because the fronts are, everybody's in the front. You can't get in. We can't check in. We had to check on check in on different floors other than the front desk. So it was, like I said, it was hectic, but it was a fun hectic. I mean, it's one of those things that you can only live that once in a lifetime. And like I said, I've lived that, and I've been blessed, very blessed.
I know it's kind of hard, but I'm going to ask you the silly question anyway. As a professional in the NBA, what was the one highlight? Was it the first championship won, or?
Well, everybody always asks me that question, but I think the year I had the most fun in the NBA was 1987-88 Hawks. There was a bunch of great guys on that team with Dominique Wilkins, Spud Webb, Kevin Willis, Doc Rivers, Tree Rollins, myself, Antoine Carr, John Battle. I mean, we had a great time. We did everything together, and that's what you really enjoy, and that's what I really remember the most is being on a pro team and everyone is basically happy and want to hang out with each other. Then when I went to Chicago, that was the second highlight. I guess my first championship was like unbelievable feeling that you've always pictured in your mind what would happen if I won a championship, how would I feel, and what am I going to do? And it's so different. I mean, it's like it takes you about 2 months to really realize that you just won a championship, and you're walking around on clouds, and everybody's, you know, congratulating you, and doors opening up for you, and things are just happening for you, and it just goes so fast, and sometimes you don't really get a chance to enjoy the moment. And now I'm finally just getting a chance to really enjoy what I did when I played ball.
You finished your playing career, but did you have an inkling at that point, towards the end of your career, that you wanted to get into coaching?
Well, you know, when I played, and after I finished playing, I didn't want to have anything to do with basketball. I wanted to walk away from the game. I was healthy, you know, financially okay. I just retired because I woke up one morning. I had several businesses going, and I was concentrating more on my business than playing. And when I did that, I knew it was time for me to let the game go. And I woke up one morning right before training camp and called my agent, said, "Look here, tell Denver I'm not going to sign the contract. I'm just going to retire." And it was a good feeling because it was on my terms. It wasn't because I was injured or I couldn't play anymore. It was just, I just loved the game so much and respect the game so much that I couldn't just take a paycheck. And that's how I look at the game. It was good to me. I'm not going to tarnish the game.
But somehow you ended up back in the game.
Well, you know, I stepped away from basketball for about 4 years, and then my son got interested in basketball, and I started working with him. And then I did a basketball camp, and it's like that old bug. Once you get bit, it's hard to stop it. You know, after I started coaching, then I started coaching middle school, coached a little bit of high school, coached AAU basketball, and then I got a call from Kent Davidson, who I hadn't seen in probably 15, 18 years. He called me out of the blue and asked me, you know, he heard I was ready to get into coaching, and do I want to come coach with the Fury? And that's where it all started, you know. And ever since then, I've been looking to try to better myself as a coach. You know, playing the game is one thing, but coaching is another total realm of the game, and that where you spend a lot of time dedicating yourself to understanding how to get the X and O's done, how to get what you want on the paper, on the floor, and help these guys see exactly what you're talking. And that's an art. And like I said, I respect coaches and scouting reports and all that a lot better now than when I was a player. I was like, oh, scouting report, okay, all right, I know it. But a lot goes into coaching. And, you know, when you sometimes, as a player, you look at a coach and say, he's just a coach. But it's a lot goes in behind.
You worked with the Fury for a little bit until they unfortunately ceased to exist in the CBA. Mm-hmm. I know you ended up, I believe you worked a year with Jeff Reckaway over at the University of St. Francis.
Correct.
And how did you end up over here at IPFW?
Well, that was a player-coach deal. No. well, Doug sent Coach Reckaway a player last year, and it just happened that, you know, before I went to St. Francis, I called Doug, and Doug had just hired all of his assistants, and he said, well, I want to keep you in mind for maybe next year, maybe come over and help my program next year, but I really want you on my staff. But right now, we just added a guy, but I want to keep you in mind. But, you know, I'm going to come knocking at the end of the year. So, you know, last summer, we had a chance to sit down and we talked, and he put it out there what he was looking for, and if I could, you know, find some way to fill in a void and help his program become a Division I program. And, you know, I looked at it and I told him, Coach, if I don't get a job in NBDL or the NBA or whatnot, I will give you 2 years. And, you know, so far, you know, things have been going great. You know, we're going to see what's going to happen next year, but I'm willing to give this program whatever I can to help his program, because, you know, Doug said he needed someone to help his big men understand how to play on the block, and that's what I've been just trying to do, just trying to teach the game from more or less technique than just playing.
You've got some pet projects, and their names are David Simon and Kyle Thrasher and Brandon Jennings and maybe to a lesser extent, Jim Kesnick.
Well,
talk about the work with these big guys.
Well, you know, all these guys are different in all aspects. You know, David is power. He could be an animal when he wants to be. But he's also a super nice guy. He does not want to hit anybody or bang up anybody, but he's getting to the point where he's starting to understand, I have to utilize my size, my jumping ability, and my power to overpower some of these guys. Then you have Jim Kesnick. Jim is more of an outside to an inside guy, opposed to inside out. And Jim brings different look for different players who's guarding him. He can bang you inside, but he doesn't like the bang. But I'm getting him used to feeling the contact and understanding contact is good. Not a bad thing to run from. You run to it. And then take them outside and abuse them outside. Once you get them going back and forth, they don't know how to play. Then I got Brandon Jennings. Brandon knows how to play the game. That's what I like about him. He's more of a technical player. He understands how to get positioned, how to get his shot off, more so than any of the guys we have. He can get his shot off on anybody. It's just that now he has to play with confidence. Once he starts playing with confidence, he can rebound with the best of them. Because he rebounds with position. You watch where the ball's going to come off position. And he's just one of those guys who knows and has a knack to play basketball. Then you got Kyle Thrasher. Kyle is a workhorse. He is one of those guys, you can put him in any situation, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to consistently rebound for you, play good position defense for you, and he's going to get you scores on the block. And then also he has a mid-range jumper where we're working on and trying to get him to have confidence to shoot it. Because game time, he won't let it go. Practice, he lets it go every now and then, but he's getting more and more confidence. I think when he got hit in his eye socket early part of the year, it kind of shot him away from being aggressive. Now he's starting to come back around and understanding, okay, that just happened. It's not going to happen all the time like that. But my project, I mean, I have great upside on all my big guys that are coming through this program. And they're starting to see the results of all the hard work we're putting in the beginning of the season, which is a lot of technical stuff. You know, going back to the basics. I keep everything basic so they can understand and see the progress they're making and understand how to beat someone on angles opposed to just athleticism. If you got both athleticism and you have the knowledge and angles how to play the game, you can beat mostly anybody in this game. And that's what I'm trying to teach them and understand. It's the little things that make a difference, not the big things. And they're starting, like I said, they're starting to believe and buy into what I'm telling them because they're seeing results.
I don't have too much time left in this segment, but I'm thrilled with this little segment because we're learning a little bit about you and we're learning about your love for the game and the translating of your love for the game and your knowledge of the game into these young student athletes. And I hope they look up to you as some sort of a role model because you've been there. You've been there on the collegiate front at Wichita State. You've been in the NBA. You can't do much more than that, and you're coming back and now you're teaching what you've learned to the others. Your future, you mentioned a 2-year span possibly. Would you like to be a head coach someday?
Well, I've always been a firm believer in working your way up. I think I need to learn a little more about the X and O's. I know the game from a player's standpoint. I know how to relay it to the guys. Now I just have to learn a little bit more about the X and O's, situations and you know, zones, and that's what I'm here for. I'm teaching you know, Doug and JP and Coach Andrews. I'm teaching them things, how to translate things from a player to a coach, or from a coach to a player, and they're teaching me the X and O's. So it's a win-win situation. That's the best part I like about what I do is right now, you know, Doug could be, you know, like a lot of coaches, thinking that I'm trying to take his job or don't want to give me a chance because I may, you know, put myself in position. But I'm a loyal type of guy. Sometimes I'm loyal to a fault. You know, he's given me an opportunity that that's, you know, Division I basketball, that guys don't really get the chance to come in on the ground floor of building something. And he's given me an opportunity to come in on the ground floor and help build this program. So, you know, I'm always going to be indebted to Doug, always. And Doug is, to me, he's a good coach. He is a really good coach because, like I said, he has compassion for the game. He has compassion for the players. And that's what coaches have to go back to and understand that it's not about winning and losing. It's basically teaching these kids life skills. And that's what he does. He teaches them life skills on top of basketball, because basketball basically isn't the end of all ends. There's more to basketball. There's life after basketball, and there's going to be continued basketball. But he is such a devoted guy to this game. And like I said, to learn from him is an honor to me. Like I said, I'm just glad I'm in the situation I'm in now, because, like I said, a lot of guys wouldn't give me a chance because of what I've done and where I've been, with fear of me stepping on their toes. But I don't like stepping on people's toes. I just like coming to enhance something that I see. And this program has nothing but upside, because he has a great recruiter in Freddie, has a great X&O guy with JP, and that's what head coaches are about, the guys who are around him. And, you know, with Doug being in position to keep going up and getting these nice, good freshmen in here that are basically not only academically sound, but also basketball sound, this program is going to be a great program. There's going to be a lot of people who's going to envy this program and want to be part of this program.
We appreciate you finally getting a chance to come and talk with us. Congratulations on your professional career as a player. We wish you much success on the coaching standpoint now, and hope you stay around for a while.
I hope I'm around here for a while, just to see this program go to a tournament.
Well, thanks again for coming on the program.
You're quite welcome, man.
We've been visiting with assistant coach Cliff Livingston. We'll take a break and come back with more of Mastodon Spotlight in just a moment.
According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, it kills over 1,500 people every year and injures 71,000 more. Inadequate sleep has been linked to health and safety risks, even premature death. But today, new treatments are helping millions get the sleep they need. So talk to your doctor or take our free risk assessment on the web at sleepfoundation.org. Sleep deprivation. It's real, it's dangerous, and it's more treatable than ever.
It's the most magnificent sight in the universe. This planet full of life and wonder. This planet we call home. As an Earth Team volunteer, you can help the Natural Resource Conservation Service care for it, right in your own community. Call 1-888-LAND-CARE to find out how, because there's just no place like home.
Excuse me, I can't seem to find these anywhere.
Huh. These books are no longer available.
I didn't know.
May I have your name, please?
Why?
Excuse me.
What did I do?
We just have a couple of questions.
Easy.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now for my favorite part of this program, a chance to speak with the student athletes here at the university. And this week, we have the opportunity to speak with a member of the women's basketball team, and we're happy to welcome both the university and to Mastodon Spotlight, freshman Hillary O'Connell. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
My name's Hillary O'Connell, as you know. I've played basketball since about the 3rd grade, and I love to play. I went to Warsaw High School, where I played from varsity from my freshman on up. Yeah. Anything else you want to know?
Whatever you would like to say.
Well, that's about it. Basketball is basically my life right now, so.
What led you to come from Warsaw High School here to IPFW?
It was close to home, and I'm kind of a home girl, so I like to go home all the time. I'm home a lot. Also, I enjoy the coaches. They're really nice sometimes, but they're fun.
Uh-oh, gotta be careful. Warsaw High School has been known for both boys and women's basketball in the high school in the state of Indiana. Talk about briefly your experience Because you played for Coach Wienhorst, if I pronounced it correctly.
Yes, he did. Warsaw is, like, everybody knows who Warsaw is. I guess really growing up in the system, I never really realized how big Warsaw is. But when I came here, everybody always asked me, Warsaw, you know, and you never really think about it. And I guess I'm really glad I came up in that kind of a system.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about you. Because on the court this year, you play a guard position for the most part. You got a nice little outside shot. But let's talk about your experiences here this year with this basketball team.
It's been a struggle. The beginning of the year, we had a big struggle. We were down, and our confidence just kept going down every time we lost. Now we're starting to really pick it up. Our confidence is right there. Our shots are hitting all the time. For me personally, at the beginning of the season, I thought I came out okay. My shots were hitting, and then I began to start falling, and my confidence is going down along with our teams. As the games have been going on, my confidence has been going up, and I think a lot of the other girls have too.
Let's be self-critical for a second. What do you feel is the best part and the worst part of your game?
My best part, I'd say right now, is my shooting. One of my weakest is driving. I've had a struggle with that, just being able to take it in there and draw the foul.
And then there's this magical word called defense.
Yeah.
Do you like to play it?
Sometimes, you know.
This year as a freshman, one of the things that you've had to deal with is travel. Because you've gone to Minnesota, you've gone to Texas. There have been the road trips to Toledo and Detroit, gone down to Dayton on New Year's Eve. What's it been like for you practicing, playing, traveling, but still having to study and hit the books? Because that's one of the reasons why you're here. You are a student athlete.
The beginning of the season, when we'd travel all the time, it was hard to get my grades and keep up with my studies. I've learned to kind of manage my time. When next week we leave, and I'm missing a lot of my classes, and it's been a big struggle having to read and then come back and take tests, and you're not even ready for it because you sit out of class the whole time. So that's been a struggle, but if you manage your time well, we have a study table where we go in twice a week, which is really nice, so we can get our studies done there. So,
academically, what's your field of study here at the university?
I'm going into elementary ed.
This basketball team, as we take this interview, we've just come off a big victory over Lipscomb University, a third win in a row, and we beat them by 15 points. After having such close calls and such frustrating games, how does it feel to be on the winning side 3 games in a row?
It's been a relief. It's really nice. I mean, 3 in a row, it's pretty good. I think right now our confidence again is really up there, and it's just so much better to be winning now than losing. So.
You are one of 8 freshmen on this basketball team. Let me throw a reverse question at you. Usually the senior and the junior leadership tries to instill wisdom on the freshmen, but is there anything that you and your fellow freshmen have been able to impart on the sophomores, such as Courtney Nicely, or the juniors, Amy Geralds, or the senior like Tiara Dudley?
They're really good leaders, actually. They've actually helped us a lot in showing us, what to do, what not to do. I know T has really been a great senior leader. She's showed us so much, and it's really been a nice help. As for us showing them, maybe helping them work harder sometimes, getting in their face sometimes on defense, stuff like that.
Final question, make it as easy as I can for you. What do you hope to accomplish in these final remaining games this season?
As a team, just going out and keeping up our confidence, and when we start getting down and teams start coming back, just to keep our heads up and not get scared, and to come out with some wins.
The interview is over. You can take a deep breath. We appreciate you being with us. Continued success, both on the court and in the classroom. And thanks for being with us this week on Mastodon Spotlight.
Thanks.
We've been visiting with one of the freshman members of the women's basketball team, Hillary O'Connell. We'll take a break and come back and talk with Coach Bruce Patterson, because they've got a couple of big road games coming up ahead. But that'll take place when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
Step out of the car. Open up the trunk. Check inside.
What's going on?
Hands on the car.
Bingo.
Got it.
Today's teenagers, the way people talk, you'd think they can't do anything right. It's just not so. We get to know over 300,000 kids a year, smart kids who know what they want. They believe in themselves, and they believe in America. Some go straight to college. Others choose to learn leadership, discipline, courage, and commitment first with us. Today's military, making a stronger America, one good kid at a time.
A new century is coming, and with it, 1,000 questions. Will your family ever be in harm's way? Will a small town in Texas be hit with a hurricane? Will your daughter ever need a new kind of blood treatment? We have no crystal ball for the world that awaits. Just one promise. We'll be there.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now to shift our attention to women's basketball. And this past week, the IPFW women's basketball team played two big games here at the Harry Gates Sports Center on Monday night and on Saturday afternoon. With us to talk about those games is the head coach of IPFW women's basketball, Bruce Patterson. Bruce, let's talk first about the Monday night game. The team that's coming into that game was against Youngstown State, member of the Horizon League, a team that beat us at their place last year. Mm-hmm. And you were coming in, your team was coming into this game fresh off a road victory at Eastern Illinois, 71-68. So coming into this game, confidence level had to be up a notch.
Well, I think our confidence is getting better, right? And it's, really we've been trying to preach to them now for the last month and a half that the difference between us being a good basketball team and being an average basketball team simply is we got to believe in ourselves. And the leadership of this team, primarily Tierra Dudley, has done a great job of delivering the message to the kids that we can't win until we believe we can win.
The game Monday night was a unique game because it was a game of
Is that
runs.
What you call it?
For those of you who may not know, IPFW had as big as a 21-point lead in the second half with a little over 13 minutes to go. And Youngstown State, to their credit, did not give up. They came back, actually took the lead with about 43 seconds to go, and it took a free throw by Maggie Bruning with 14 seconds left to force overtime. And in the overtime, they jumped out with 7 points in a row, but we came back, and we ended up winning the game 80-77. Let's talk first about the fact that we started out strong. It was a game of runs. During the course of the game, we had a 13-0 run, a 14-0 run, a 15-0 run, which coincided at the end of the first half, the beginning of the second half. They had a 10-0 run, and in the overtime, each team had a 7-point run. So the pendulum swung back and forth on both teams.
Yeah, where do you want me to start?
We're starting building the lead.
When this team is playing confident and stroking the ball well, we are a handful because we can attack you from so many different places. We've got some people that can score inside. That makes you be conscious and cognizant of that. We have the ability to shoot the basketball from the outside, and as much as anything else, we have the ability to penetrate and knock down shots from in there and also get to the foul line. As you noticed in that game, I think the foul shots, I think we took 26 of them, and they should have took 6. Now, I'm sure their coach is talking about it in terms of we got homered, but in reality, that happened at Eastern Illinois, too, where we penetrated, got to the line, and that was helpful. So during that run, I thought we were playing comfortable, confident, and we were playing relaxed, and we were going out doing the things we had to do.
I mentioned with, I believe it was 13:24 to go, it was a 21-point game. Mm-hmm. They came back. Looking back on it, can you pinpoint anything that we did wrong as opposed to them playing great, or was it a combination of events?
I think it was a combination because they were shooting the basketball awfully well. I mean, I don't know how many threes they hit in a row, but I know the one kid I think hit 5 of them or something like that in the second half, and she just was. I thought a number of those shots were with people in her face, and defensively there's nothing you can do about that when people start knocking them down. But the problem was we weren't going to the other end and answering, and that's where I think we fell down. They went zone. They came off the man-to-man because they were sending us to the foul line so much out of the man-to-man. And we didn't run our zone offense near as efficiently as we should have. We didn't get the ball into the middle of the zone. We didn't get it to the weak side, and we became sluggish. And we were using up the shot clock all the way down to 32nd and then having to fire something up recklessly. And that wasn't what we were after. It's just this team has the capability of, when it gets out in front, to kind of go brain dead, especially if the other team switches on them. But when we went overtime and when we went down by 7, I know there's a lot of people that wrote us off, and frankly, in my own mind, I have to admit that I was questioning exactly how we were going to handle it or what was going to happen. But I thought Maggie and Amy specifically stepped up during that time and said, "Get on my shoulders, I'm going to carry you."
I know I mentioned to you on the radio in the postgame. I thought that the key play of overtime, the key play, was a conventional three-point play by Lindy Carey, because we were down at that point. The Daubers were down. They're being Youngstown's were very sky high. Lindy got the ball, and she made a bucket, drew the foul, made a three-point play, and that gave us some life.
Yeah, I think that gave us some life. I think Amy Geralds came down right after that or right before that and nailed a 3 from the outside, and that got us back to 1. And then we felt like we were in a contest then. All we had to do was get one stop, and we took the control back. And you could see the momentum start to switch. As you said, it was a game of runs, and now it was our turn to make the last run. And I thought there were a number of key plays going down the end. I thought defensively we did a much better job going down the end, stopping them and only allowing them to have one opportunity at the basket.
Well, final score again Monday night in overtime, IPFW 80, Youngstown State 77. 2-game winning streak. As we're taping this interview now, we had another game at home against another independent, Lipscomb University out of Nashville, a team that defeated us 3 times last year. We won't keep the suspense. IPFW won this ball game 88-73, although it was a lot closer, I think, in the second half than the final score indicated. In getting ready for this ball game, again, we talk about momentum, 2-game winning streak, wanting to stretch it to 3. They came into this game with a 3-game winning streak, wanting to make it 4, but the very fact that this team beat us 3 times last year, how much of that might have been a factor in the pregame preparation?
Well, I can tell you that Tara Dudley made a large deal of that last night, again this morning at the pregame meal, and before we walked on the floor, she made a big deal about it, saying that, frankly, we felt like we owed them something. The game that we played down at Lipscomb late in the year last year was maybe one of the worst and most boring basketball games I've ever been involved with. I think the score at halftime was 26-16, and it was just not a fun basketball game to be around. And T had a bitter taste in her mouth, and she wanted to win because of that.
In this ball game this afternoon, they jumped out the early lead, and we came back. And for most of the first half, we controlled the play. We hit our shots. I know Dave Scout and I were talking on the TV broadcast. It'd be nice if we can hit 45 to 50% of our shots on the floor in the first half. And for most of the first half, we were right around that 50% mark, and we ended up 43%. And we had a 9-point lead. And I know Lipscomb was only 1 of 9 from 3-point range in the first half. Were you happy to go in the locker room with that 9-point lead?
No. We actually thought we should have been up 16-20. If we would have kept them off the boards, the offensive boards that they got for putbacks, I think they had 9 offensive boards at halftime. We only had 10 defensive boards. That means 1 out of every 2 boards that come off that of non-made shots they were getting. And frankly, we thought that was ridiculous. And we were not very happy with our work ethic on the boards. I thought the last 2 points they got, allowing them to score with 3.7 seconds, and frankly, that was just a kid going to the wrong spot, reacted for all the right reasons. She reacted because she had the energy and wanted to make the big play, and it caused us to get caught short. That cost us some points. We just felt like we were 15 to 20 points better than them in the first half, so going in 10 is not enough, and obviously with our ability to give great halftime speeches and and have the performance that we had in the first 5 minutes, no lead's big enough for us.
You know, especially after Monday night. Obviously there was concern when you have as high as a 21-point lead on Monday night and lose it and have to go overtime. Today it was, I believe, as high as 18 points. And in the second half, they came out, and their leading scorer, Courtney Boynton, hit 4 3-pointers in the second half. And at one point, they actually took the lead. I believe it was 48-46 or something like that. But then we came back, and it was down to 63-62. We were up by 1, and then we went on one of those runs, and we finally gained control, where all of a sudden, I believe it was either a 10 or 11-point run, and we're up 12. And after that, we were able to keep them in check and come away with the victory.
Yeah, and you know, you talked about their kid hitting the 4 threes in the second half, but really, that wasn't the issue to us. It was, again, the beginning of the second half. The first 3 possessions, I think they got putbacks off of missed shots, and I was not a very happy camper. And you know, because we had talked about it, that we were going to be aggressive on the boards, that we were going to go get the basketball, especially on the defensive board, and we turn around and let them have easy ones, and I thought that really hurt us. Because now the kids became so focused. I had to send 4 kids in, and I think some kids were cheating off, and I think that's why the kid got better looks on the outside, quite frankly. But that being said, you know, we gave up the lead, and I'm sure that my presentation at about the 15-minute mark in the huddle was one that we don't want to use as a recruiting piece. Because I was upset with them, and something had to happen. They had to change their approach to the basketball game, and thank heavens they did. And we had some great performances in the second half once they got control.
When we look at some of the final numbers, we were 8 of 15 from three-point range for the game, which is over 50%. You love that.
Mm-hmm.
22 of 25. We had a game earlier this year where we were 23 of 25. 22 of 25 at the foul line, and that's 88%, which is great. And Amy Gerald's led us again, 22 points, 7 of 15 from the floor, 4 of 8 from three-point range. She seems to be getting her confidence back with the outside shot. To me, the player of the game was Maggie Bruning, 19 points, 5 of 9 from the floor, 1 of 1 from three-point range, 8 of 8 at the foul line, 8 rebounds, that was a team high in rebounds, and 8 assists, and 5 steals. Heck of a performance for your junior point guard.
Well, there isn't any secret to this. You know, great players, good players make coaches look good, and we kept saying all the way through the first part of the year when Maggie was not available that we had a stud coming to take over at the point, and we knew she could play. And you know, I think when she first came in, she was anxious and nervous, and you know, it's the first time playing in a year and a half, and she had some tough games along the way, but you're starting to see the Maggie Bruning that can play. She isn't afraid of anybody. You know, she's just a tough kid who plays smart. Every once in a while she gets a little aggressive. I've told her in the locker room afterwards that I'm not going to Vegas with her because I can't afford to risk that much money on that, the kind of gambles she takes. But, you know, she's a gambler, and it pays off because she makes everybody around her better. I mean, she gets Courtney's shot. She gets Hillary's shot. She gets Amy's shot without people being in her face, to say nothing about the people she gets inside. She's a heck of a player.
You mentioned Courtney nicely. One of her better performances, 16 points, 5 rebounds, and Maria Bibbs off the bench, 10 points, 5 rebounds, and they were all on the offensive end. A nice performance underneath on the offensive glass for Faria.
First of all, let me go back to Courtney. I thought you said you thought Maggie was the player of the game, and I may agree to that. But I'll tell you that we could not have won the ball game had Courtney not played as well as she did. Especially when they got it back to an even basketball game. There was about 3 times in a row that we ran clearouts for her, and I think she converted on every one of them.
She's a natural slasher, and she did. She cut in, got the open shot, and she's got that nice, soft touch.
Yeah, she gets it to about 5 to 7 feet, and she can elevate, so she can go in against the kids that are 6'5" and go up over them and get her shot off. And it was just critical for us because we were having trouble finding points anyplace else. And Courtney said, okay, I'll get the points for you, and she did. And then she hit a 3, which she's not a very good three-point shooter. Got a decent-looking shot. It just doesn't go down as often as it should. And I think that gave her confidence. I just thought she played a whale of a game. V and our post play wasn't near as good as it's going to be. Someday these post players are going to be one heck of a handful to handle. I mean, Ashley's a great kid and wants to learn, and V is a great kid and wants to learn, and Kelly Boyd someday is going to be a player. But The problem that we have is that they have a tendency to go off in a fog someplace. As you'll notice, there was no defensive rebound there, and I was onto her about that. I mean, she needs to get bored. She was trying to jump with the 6'5" kid instead of pushing her out and then jumping. And so we made some errors that way, but from where she's come from last year, it's like the difference between night and day.
Again, final score, IPFW 88 and Lipscomb 73. Bruce, what's it like now? First time IPFW in Division I has had a 3-game winning streak.
You know, we said before the game, we told the kids that they had an opportunity, in my opinion, to start forging a little history that nobody else can take away from them. And we've done this little thing, and it was actually started by Coach Paul, where he said before, when we had 10 ball games left, he went and looked at all 10 of the teams we were playing, and he said, okay, let's assume that this is our conference. And a lot of them are independents, the Lipscombs and the Corpus Christi's. This is our conference, and now what we're going to try to do is to win our conference. And we want to win every ball game we can in our conference play. And frankly, we're 3-0 in it right now. And we told the kids they got a chance to make a little history. I mean, it's as far as we know, it is the first time that anybody in IPFW in Division I has done that. And we're just excited about that. We're just trying to take one game at a time and see if we can win this conference right now. Coming in, the leader in the conference was Lipscomb, and they were 3-0. They were on that thing, and they were 3-0. So we put them back of us now. Now what we got to do is just hang on to that.
Let's look ahead. This is going to be a tough week for you. You're going to be on the road on Wednesday night. You're going to be down in Shreveport, Louisiana, taking on Centenary, a team that we defeated here earlier in the year, and relatively easy if you look at 91-69, and if you look at numbers, relatively to some small degree. And then next Saturday, you match up with Lipscomb again, but this time it's down in Nashville. On the plus side, you've beaten these two teams. On the minus side, you got to travel.
Well, the minus side is big, and I'm not trying to make any excuses for them. These kids' schedule, the travel schedule, 2 out of the next 3 weeks is something that nobody would like to trade for. We've got, we leave on Tuesday to catch a flight to fly down to Shreveport, and we get in there Tuesday evening to play a game on Wednesday night, get back on the airplane Thursday to fly back in here, to get back in here at 5 p.m., to get on the bus at 7:30 in the morning to drive back down to Nashville the next day, it's not the kind of schedule you would arrange normally. This was purely an economics decision the way it worked out, but they're going to have to really strap up the laces and tape up and be ready to go, because it will take its toll. Now, as far as playing teams that we won, frankly, we're not going to let them think about that. Centenary, if you remember the Centenary game, it's a game that, quite frankly, we only won one half. You know, we did not do to Centenary what we should have or could have done. We had them down, I believe, at halftime by 25 or something like that. It was a bunch of points. We actually let them win the second half. So as far as we're concerned, we're 1-1 with them right now, and that's the way we're going to approach the basketball game and try to win it. Lipscomb is going to be a handful down there. You have to remember, Lipscomb beat Valparaiso, a team that just missed the NCAA and played the NIT last year. They beat Valparaiso down at their place, and they ended up losing by 1 point to Xavier, who had at that time still had Amy Wall, a Fort Wayne product, who frankly had a chance to be an All-American if she wouldn't have hurt her knee. So they play some pretty good basketball down there, and we better be ready to play. And we know we got our handful.
Well, we wish you luck. Congratulations on this week. It's been a great week for IPFW women's basketball. Have a safe trip and hopefully come home with 2 more W's in the coming week ahead.
That's what we're going to try to do, one game at a time.
Our guest has been head coach Bruce Patterson, the mentor for IPFW women's basketball. We'll take a final break, and then I'll come back with some final comments in just a moment. You're watching Mastodon Spotlight on College 56 Sports.
As time flows on, there are places we return to again and again. Places that comfort us with their serenity. places that astound us with their beauty. Places where our memories come to life. Precious places. Timeless places. Places that with your help can endure forever. I'm Paul Newman. Help the Nature Conservancy save the last great places around the world.
I was a liberal arts major in college.
I didn't speak a second language.
What could I?
What could I offer the Peace Corps?
The answer surprised me. I served in South Africa teaching HIV/AIDS awareness.
Working with my students in Nicaragua was a great experience. We taught each other a lot about our countries and cultures.
This is the Peace Corps today.
Redefine your world. Join the Peace Corps.
Apply now at peacecorps.gov.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you?
You put me on the spot.
True or false? Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer.
True. I'd say false.
No, it's true.
That's something new to me.
The Office of the Surgeon General recommends all homes be tested for radon.
False.
It's true.
True.
So it's bad. We should get our house tested.
Sure, I'm gonna call it.
1-800-SOS-RADON. How can you not call? 1-800-SOS-RADON.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Again, thanks to everyone who came on the show this week. Head coach Bruce Patterson from IPFW Women's Basketball, talented freshman Hillary O'Connell, and assistant men's basketball coach Cliff Livingston. Hope you enjoyed those interviews. Up ahead this week here on campus, on Friday night, 7 o'clock, men's volleyball, IPFW playing host to Quincy University, beginning of MEVA conference action. Again, 7 o'clock, you can't see it on TV. You got to come to the Gates Center to see that ball game. And then on Saturday, 3 p.m., a game you will see on College 56 Sports, men's basketball. Doug Knoll's team goes after their second win in a row when they entertain Youngstown State from the Horizon League. Again, tip-off is at 3 p.m. If you can't make it here in person, tune in. College 56 Sports, Charlie Washington and I'll be happy to bring you all the action. The only other event I think going on this weekend, Saturday, the men's tennis team gets into action for the first time here in 2003. They travel down to Muncie to take on Ball State. Well, that's it for this edition of Mastodon Spotlight. As always, we thank everyone, including you, the viewers, for tuning in to see what's going on with IPFW Athletics. We invite you to come back again next week for another edition of the program. But until next week, this is Mike Maas saying, have a great week and go Dons. Last week was a good week, relatively speaking, for IPFW Athletics. On this week's edition of Mastodon Spotlight, we'll take a look at what happened on the basketball court, on the volleyball court, and on the tennis court. And we'll talk in depth with some members of both basketball teams as well. Our show is called Mastodon Spotlight, and it's coming up next.
They came from every corner of the country. From small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines. A tough and determined few, dedicated to protect protecting everything we hold sacred. And still they come. Celebrate the 225-year history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Maz. Welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. Well, as I said a moment ago, a relatively good week athletic-wise, or result-wise, shall we say, for IPFW athletics. Success came on the basketball court for both men and women, and on the volleyball court. And the tennis team, both tennis teams weren't as successful as far as wins and losses, but they did participate, and we'll take a quick review of all those sports. We'll start our review with men's basketball. Coach Doug Knoll's Chargers were on the road last Monday night, and they took on Texas A&M Corpus Christi. They trailed by 10 at halftime, but they made a great rally in the second half, allowing Corpus Christi only 19 second-half points, and they defeated the Islanders 70-68. 3 men in double figures, all sophomores for IPFW. David Simon, the 6'9" transfer from Loyola Chicago, 8 of 10 from the floor, 17 points. Rick Wyan, the sophomore from Franklin Central, and Terry Collins, a sophomore from Fort Wayne Snyder, chipped in with 14 points apiece. Again, a big win on the road for the men's basketball team. And then they came home, and in a game we saw here on Channel 56 last Saturday, they took on Youngstown State from the Horizon League, and it was a strange game. First half, you had 6 ties and 12 lead changes. IPFW led at the break, 33-31. And though Youngstown State tied the game on their first possession of the second half, IPFW came right back with the bucket, led by as many as 9 points, 8 points on 3 occasions, but they had to hang on as Youngstown State had one last gasp. They were down 4 points with 14 seconds to go, scored on a layup with 7 seconds to go, and then following a missed Rick Wyan free throw, they had a chance and actually scored on a layup, which apparently was going to tie the game, but the officials called off the basket. They said that Youngstown State was guilty of a traveling violation, so Mastodons win their second in a row, 65-63. They now improve to 6-18 on the year. Jim Kesnick, the 6'10" junior out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, had a big game Saturday, 19 points and 9 rebounds. Women's basketball had a mixed bag last week. On Wednesday night, they were down in Shreveport, Louisiana, took on the ladies of Centenary College, a team they defeated here earlier in the year. And they were up at the half, and then Centenary came out with the second half, started out with a 22-3 run to begin the second half. IPFW fell behind by as many as 16 points, but they came back, led by sophomore Varia Bibbs, who had a career-high 22 points and added 8 rebounds, and IPFW came out victorious 77-75. That made it 4 wins in a row, kind of a unique travel schedule. They flew home Thursday, got on a bus Friday, traveled down to Nashville, Tennessee, took on Lipscomb University in a rematch of a game that was played a week ago Saturday that you saw here on Channel 56. Things didn't work out quite as well for IPFW on Saturday. They trailed by 2 at the half, 28-26, but could only hit 30% of their shots from the floor in the second half, 6 of 30. Lipscomb played well, and the Lady Bisons won 61-42. Nobody in double figures scoring-wise for IPFW. Courtney Nicely led with 7 points. So a split of the 2 games, but still a 4-game winning streak is very good for women's basketball at this time of the year. Now we shift our gears briefly to tennis. Our men's tennis team got their indoor 2003 season underway, traveled south this past weekend, took on Ball State Saturday and Butler on Sunday, and unfortunately they lost both matches by a score of 7-0. So they are now technically 4-4 overall. They were 4-2 in the fall, 0-2 to start off the spring portion. The women's team also played at Butler on Sunday, and they fell on the short end of a 6-1 score. So they are now technically 4-7 overall, 4-4 in the fall, 0-3 in the spring. And then volleyball had 1 match last weekend. They opened up the conference season MIVA play, and the Volleydons took care of the Quincy Hawks winning the match in 3 sets, 30-23, 30-23, 30-28. Jeff Patak and Maddie Zibashevsky, and I'll get that pronounced right from henceforth, had 16 kills apiece, and sophomore Dennis Santiago had 42 assists and 12 digs. So the Mastodons improved to 4-1 overall, 1-0 in conference play, and you can hear more in depth about the IPFW volleyball team by tuning into the Ernie Ball Show here on Channel 56. Well, that's the review for the week. Time for a break, and when we come back, you'll see a series of interviews that took place earlier in the week at a media luncheon at Applebee's Grill and Bar. We're going to visit with both head basketball coaches, Doug Noll and Bruce Patterson, and we also had a chance to visit with David Simon and Terry Collins from the men's team and Tiara Dudley from the women's team. And you'll see all those interviews coming up when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
May he bless you and keep you. May he grant you peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all for coming. I'll see you all next week, and please be careful going home.
This is me, and my mom and dad, and my big brother Alex, and Jack. This is the day I learned that sandals got their name from sand, and that the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget I was sick. This was my wish.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now to chat with a student athlete here at IPFW, and standing next to me, we've had her on before, and we're always happy to have her on. The program is senior Tiara Dudley from women's basketball. And Tiara, that was a crazy road trip you had last week.
Yes, it was. I mean, being on the road for basically a week straight, you know, the first game we had was against Centenary, in which we actually did pretty well. You know, coach is always kind of, you know, shaky about us coming out and, you know, playing games out of hotel rooms. He'd always say we never come out with, you know, the energy and excitement like when we have home games, which I think is probably true of any sports team and traveling, and either whether it's on planes or buses, and just, you know, it kind of drains you and wears you out a little bit. But Centenary, I think we came out of, you know, the hotels, and we played pretty good, and we, you know, were excited, and we actually came from behind and pulled off a win, which was very, very exciting for this team. But to come back home on Thursday night and then leave back out on Friday, spend 7 hours on the bus to go to Nashville, it was pretty exhausting. Coming into the Lipscomb game, I don't think we came out as, you know, energetic and as fired up as we needed to be. And I think it, you know, it had a lot to do with the trip that we had and just being on the road so long, and people were just tired, and, you know, their bodies were kind of, you know, wore out and everything. But I think we still have to find that adjustment and be able to make those adjustments. And, you know, being that we are independent and we do have to travel a lot, you know, we have to be a team that can be able to play on the road, basically, because we have a lot of our games are going to be on the road. So,
in spite of the loss Saturday at Lipscomb, you had 4 games prior to that where you came out on the good end of the score. What was it like as far as you and your teammates? Struggles all year long, but all of a sudden you put 4 games together. You had a nice 4-game winning streak. Talk about the feelings on the team for that streak.
This has been an awesome last couple of weeks. I mean, like you said, the 4-game winning streak was just, you know, not only great for our program, but I think great for IPFW athletics, and just to have a team to come out and to be able to stay focused and to be able to put together that many wins. I don't think since we've been in Division I that any team has actually put together 4 wins in a row. But we basically just came out and we decided to take our last 10 games and make it a brand new season. And, you know, like I think it was before the Eastern Illinois game. We went into the locker room. We didn't have a game plan or anything. Coach just set us all down and just talked to us and said, you know, this is where we have to start now. This is where our season has to start. We have 10 games left, teams that we can definitely beat and compete with, and this is what we have to be focused on. And we set a goal of how many games we think we can win out of those 10, and we decided to be on the positive end, and we said we were going to win 6 out of the 10. And then right off the gate, we win our first 4. So I think just making that transition and put in our heads that, okay, this is a brand new season, so we're not going to reflect on the games, the past games, and the fact that, you know, we haven't won many games. We're just going to concentrate on the last 10, and we're going to definitely make the last 10 a winning record for us. So, and I think we're definitely on track to do that.
I would think so. 4-1 after the first 5. This week, the final 2 home games of the season, and for you personally, the final 2 home games of your career here at IPFW. Wednesday night against a very good Southeast Missouri State team that's coming in with a 13-7 record. And then not much rest time, Thursday night, Texas Pan American. You'll be playing them for the first time, and you'll also be playing them a second time 5 days later. For you, Tiara Dudley, these final 2 home games, what's it mean to you?
For me personally, it's not really, I think, hit me emotionally. I think I'm more focused on getting these wins for my team and for the program, and just to, stay focused on our agenda to, have winning the last 10 games be a winning record. I think it'll definitely hit me once those games come. These are actually the last games that I will be playing, with the team, with the coaches in the gym, the last time that the fans will be able to see me in a uniform. So I think it is definitely going to be very emotional, and I try to keep it together and, not get too emotional and just be able to stay focused. I mean, I've enjoyed all my time that I've had being here, and I'm very excited though. Excited.
I know I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'll ask you one last question. Is there one particular moment that stands out in the 4 years you've been here?
One moment. It's been definitely a roller coaster ride being here for 4 years. Me and probably one other girl is actually the only 2 that's actually been here for the complete 4 years. I mean, every year I've been seeing different teams, I've been seeing different coaches. So I think this year has definitely been it's been a good year in the fact that I think the talent that we have here is just amazing. It's probably the most talented team that I've been on since I've been here. I think the coaching staff is great, and I think that in years this team is definitely going to have a winning record. I'll probably say around the time that I had my son is probably the most memorable for me, just because of the fact of everything that I had went through and all the support from everybody. I mean, the coaches, the IPFW staff, I mean, just all the support and everything that I got from everybody, having my son, I can't express like how, appreciated I was and how before I knew I was going to stay, I just had no idea exactly what I was going to do. And then when I talked to my coach, and my coach was just that supportive, I knew exactly that I knew I was going to come back. And just for me to be able to come back 6 weeks after that and to be out there on the court is just something that, nobody probably think they can do until they actually go out and do it. So, I tell people all the time that, things come up, situations come up, but it shouldn't be anything that should stop you from your goals and doing what you're supposed to do. And I didn't let that hold me back at all. And I just, I thank God every day just for my son and just for being able to have the strength just to continue on with my basketball career.
Well, you've given us a lot of excitement in 4 years. Congratulations on that. Good luck in these final 5 games, 2 this week at home and then the final 3 on the road, and knock 'em dead.
Hi, thank you.
We've been visiting with Tiara Dudley, the lone senior on the IPFW women's basketball team. We'll take a break and come back with more of Mastodon Spotlight in just a moment.
Excuse me. I can't seem to find these anywhere.
These books are no longer available.
I didn't know.
May I have your name, please?
Why?
Excuse me.
What did I do?
We just have a couple of questions.
Easy, easy.
A Stargate. That's the door to other worlds that my character Tilly and the rest of my team use on Stargate SG-1. It's a door to exploration and exciting adventure. And education can provide you with a similar passageway to a world full of possibilities. So stay in school and graduate.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time for another student-athlete visit. And we're happy to have back on the program sophomore shooting guard on the men's basketball team, Terry Collins. And Terry, the team's won 2 games in a row. Talk about this 2-game winning streak.
Well, it's been hard work, and I think it's just our team being confident in each other on defense and offense, and people just stepping up at the right time.
Saturday's ball game against Youngstown State. It was kind of a weird game in the sense that I thought that IPFW had control of the game for the most part, but Youngstown never gave up, and if it wasn't be for a traveling call with 0.4 of a second left, you might still be playing.
Well, we had pretty much control over most of the part of the game, but they were in there. It was back and forth, and I think what affected us a lot was we didn't capitalize on inside scoring, and we lost a few balls on the inside, and most of all it was free throws. We didn't knock down our free throws, and that's important because that can be a difference of 8 or 9 points, and instead of being 8 or 9, we only won by like 1 or 2. So
your ball club this year, they've been up, they've been down. You've had some good moments, you've had some not so good moments. What's the mental state of this team right now?
I think it's pretty fine right now because we have this 2-game winning streak. Coaches really emphasize on defense and communication, which it's not good. It took us so long for us to figure it out, but communication is very important in basketball, offense and defense. In the past 2 games, we've been communicating a lot, and we've been dependent on each other to be there and help us out when we need it, and we have. So right now, everybody's pretty much high on each other, and we're just hoping we can ride this win streak all the way out through the rest of the season.
On a personal note, you've had some ups and downs. You've had a career-high 36 points in one game earlier this year. Saturday, you had 8 points. Is it mind over matter at this point? Because it looks like it looks like a good form, but sometimes the shots just aren't dropping.
Sometimes, certain teams do certain things to try to frustrate a player, and I really don't try to let that bother me too much. For instance, Youngstown State, I had an injured hand, and every time I shot, one of their players would, hit me on my hand. I really didn't complain too much about it because I'd expect stuff like that. But when you have players like Dave Simon and Jim Kessinish, who stepped up big for us, I really don't care too much about my individual stats. I'm just trying to get them the ball, and whenever I can help the team out for us knocking down open shot, I'll do that.
This week, you've only got one ball game. Surprise, surprise. I think it's one going down to Shreveport, Louisiana, to play Centenary Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. And
UIC on Saturday.
Okay, you do go to Chicago. Yes, that's right. I'll get my schedule. 2 games, both on the road. What's the outlook?
Well, we look at both games very winnable. I haven't seen too much on Centenary. I know they're an independent team, I think, and hopefully we can go down there and bring back a victory and move to 3 games. And we know UIC is going to be tough. The Horizon League team, we keep up with their scores, and we have a couple of friends that play in that league, so we know a lot about that team.
Well, one big friend, and I'm getting ahead of myself by a date or 2, but the final home game is going to be old buddy Bernard Hollins from Northside, and now at Wright State. They come in and are going to play them over at the Coliseum. I know it's going to be a special game for you.
Yeah, we haven't played each other since high school, played against each other since high school, and we keep in touch after every game. I see how he's did, and he's telling me asking me how I did last game and all that. But when the game time comes, it's going to be about business, and we're friends after the game. But I'm trying to get a win, whatever it takes to get that win. I'll be friends with him after the game. So. I'm all about the win.
Well, good luck on this 2-game winning streak. Have 2 safe trips this coming week and see if you can extend it to 4, and then we're home next week.
Thank you.
Terry Collins, sophomore guard, and the IPFW men's basketball team has been visiting with us. We'll take a break and come right back with more of Mastodon Spotlight right after this.
Step out of the car. Open up the trunk. Check inside.
What's going on?
Hands on the car.
Bingo.
Got it.
Today's teenagers, the way people talk, you'd think they can't do anything right. It's just not so. We get to know over 300,000 kids a year, smart kids, who know what they want. They believe in themselves, and they believe in America. Some go straight to college. Others choose to learn leadership, discipline, courage, and commitment first with us. Today's military, making a stronger America, one good kid at a time.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. We continue our visits with IPFW student athletes, and now I get to look up, literally, as well as figuratively. We're going to chat with David Simon, a 6'9" sophomore from the men's basketball team. And David, things are going well this past week for the men's team.
Yeah, they've been going real well. Got a 2-game win streak going on, so we're looking to continue it, hopefully. So.
Let's talk about your performance first against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. 8 of 10 from the floor, team high 17 points, and you won a game on the road.
Yeah, felt real well. We knew going in there we had a chance to win if we played how we knew we were capable of playing. We focused real hard on the defensive end. I got going late in the game. The team did a good job of getting me the ball in the right spots. I just had a lot of easy shots, so just kind of, I know we held them, I think, something like 19 points in the second half. So it was really on the defensive end, and then capitalizing down when we got down on the offensive end.
And then you come home last Saturday, you took on Youngstown State from the Horizon League, and this time you did the damage early. On the first 3 possessions, your teammates got you the ball inside, and you responded with 3 baskets.
Yeah, again, my teammates, they just did a good job of finding me, when I was under the basket, and had gotten a little foul trouble towards the game. But yeah, I started off real well, and I would have liked to kept it going throughout the game, but like I said, some fouls kind of set me back.
Well, obviously that's an area that you need to work on a little bit, and I'm sure all the coaches will do that with you. But let's take a quick moment to reflect back since the last time you came on the program. How do you feel you have progressed this season?
I think I'm trying to be more aggressive when I'm in the game, and I've been trying to not take possessions off, because I think that was one thing that the coaches felt I needed to work on, and I felt I needed to work on throughout the season, was taking possessions off offensively and defensively. And Coach Levingston, he was telling me, the harder you work on offense, the easier it's going to be later in the game, because they're going to get tired. So I've been trying to stay aggressive through the whole game and on all the possessions on offense and defense.
You've got 2 big games this week on the road, Wednesday at Centenary, Saturday at Illinois, Chicago. Quick thoughts on those 2 games?
I think it looks real well if we continue to play how we've been playing and bring the same intensity to the game. So I'm looking forward to it. I get to go back home to Chicago for 1 game. So hopefully we'll keep it up and shock some people down there in Chicago.
and go away a happy man.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us. Good luck this week.
Thanks.
That's David Simon, sophomore center for the IPFW men's basketball team. We'll take another break and come back with more of Mastodon Spotlight in just a moment.
Have you saved a life today?
I took 2 flood victims to a shelter.
I donated a day's pay to help a family that lost everything in a fire.
Have you saved a life today?
I teach a class in infant CPR.
I donated a pint of blood.
Have you saved a life today?
No. But today somebody saved mine.
The American Red Cross. Together, we can save a life.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now to chat with the head coach of IPFW women's basketball, Bruce Patterson. And Bruce, to say last week was interesting, I think would be an understatement. You had 2 road games, lengthy trips, a little mixed bag in terms of results, but let's talk about the good news first, the win over Centenary, which was the 4th one in a row on last Wednesday night.
Oh, it's a great win. Centenary, we had played them about a couple weeks ago, and they did not play particularly well up here. But they were a different basketball team at home. They shot the ball real well. They took care of the basketball, didn't turn it over to us like they did up here. And they were a challenge, and I was really proud of the kids. There was a mixed bag. I mean, at halftime, we were in a good position with them. I think we had a little lead on them. I think it was 3 points or something like that, and we went from 3 points up to 16 points down, and somewhere around, I think at the 14-minute mark, so it was somewhere around 7-8 minutes. We were not very happy with the kids over that. We had some troubles coming out of the locker room at halftime, but then they responded to that. They were 16 down and chipped away at it, and frankly just played a great last 3-4 minutes from a point of view of taking care of the basketball and scoring when the opportunity was there.
Talk about the play especially of Maria Bibbs, because she had a career-high 22 points and added 8 rebounds, and she led your team in scoring.
Well, she did actually it was more than just the points and the rebounds. It was she forced them to guard us inside, and sometimes our post player, because of our youth, have a tendency to be so laissez-faire that they don't force other teams to come down and guard us, and she made a difference, because even when we weren't giving her the basketball, they had to dedicate 1 or 2 people to her just to stay around her, and that really opened up other lanes for us to get to the basket and to do the things we had to do. So we were really proud of what V did there. We still don't start her, but it's primarily because every time she started, she hasn't played well, and I'm just superstitious enough to not to change that.
Another person, and we had her on the show last week, that played well was Hillary O'Connell.
Hill's been playing awfully well. She played actually very well on Saturday in a loss, and if you look at the shooting stats, you'd look at me and say, geez, how could she have played well? She had shoot the basketball well. And nobody shot the basketball well down there. I just think our legs were gone from the 2 trips. But Hill just worked her tail off down there, and she's becoming better defensively as we've gone back to the press. It's really given her an opportunity to become more of a factor, and she rebounds the ball very well too for a kid her size. Hill is just coming on. I look for her to be a stud someday.
And she's going to get away from her shyness too in front of a camera. We had a good time with her last week. Let's go ahead and finish the bad part, so to speak. You had the 4-game winning streak. You were on the airplane. You come back Thursday. You get on a bus Friday. You go on down to Nashville. And you took on a Lipscomb team that had 7 days to prepare for you, because they didn't play between the last time when we played them last Saturday or a week ago Saturday and beat them here. How concerned were you going into that game on any number of fronts?
Well, did you schedule that, by the way?
No, I thought it was Doug.
Well, whoever scheduled it wasn't very smart, and I don't mean that. That's the life of an independent. You get caught with having to play when you can play, and you're right. They had every opportunity. They came out with a little venom drooling from their lips, and they were ready to play, and we had just exhausted ourselves. I'm not making excuses for the players. I'm just telling you that leaving on Tuesday to get on that airplane to fly down to Louisiana, we went right straight from the airport to the gym to practice. Got back to our beds about 9 o'clock or something like that. They got a decent night's rest to get up the next day to play Centenary. You get them home 9, 10 o'clock in the evening to get to bed, to get up the next day, to come back to Fort Wayne, and then get on that bus the next day for that 7-hour bus ride. It was suicidal. It was a position that we put our players in where you're putting them in a position and saying, now go win. And frankly, when we got to that second half, we played okay in the first half. Quite frankly, we should have been leading at halftime. We just made some bad turnovers. Maggie, I think, personally had 9 turnovers in that ball game. We turned the ball over in the first half 13 times, a total of 23 times, and we've been averaging somewhere around, I think for the last 5 games prior to that, or 4 games prior to that, we were averaging less than 15. And you turn the ball over 23 times against a team that's pretty decent inside, you're going to lose. And I can put whatever blame it is, it's problematic. It doesn't make any difference. Right now, the position we're in is we're 4-1 in that imaginary league that we're talking about.
It's hard to believe, but this is the final turn in this season. This week you got the final 2 home games, and then you close it out with 3 on the road. So let's talk about these 2 games, Wednesday and Thursday night. Again, it's unfortunate being, as you said, an independent. You take what you can get when you get it. But Wednesday night, you're going to take on Southeast Missouri State. It's a team that's 13-7. You have told me in the past, probably the toughest team you're going to see in these last 10 ball games. A quick thought on that team, and then we'll briefly talk about the next night against Texas Pan American.
Well, I don't think there's any question. We got our hands full Wednesday night. I mean, they're a good basketball team. They've got size. They've got good shooters. They've got some quickness to them. I think we're going to have our hands full, and yet we're getting good enough that they better not come down here underestimating us, if you will, because we can play. I mean, we've got the ability to score, and being at home, I look for the kids to be comfortable. They will have had a chance to get rested up since the last time around. We gave them Sunday off. I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's one of those games where we have nothing to lose. They better be careful.
I remember last year we played a team, North Texas, and you felt the same way, and we darn near beat them.
Actually, North Texas was a better team, and we weren't as good a team. And if we hit a 3 at the end of that ball game that rattled in and out, we had them beaten. But I don't think this task is quite as daunting as that one. But it's one of those where we got to stay prepared. What we had last year, we had some upperclassmen that knew how to do that, and I think these freshmen are finally getting the gist of it. If they do, we're going to go out and have some fun.
Speaking of upperclassmen, less than 24 hours after you take on Southeast Missouri State, you have the home finale against Texas Pan American. And for Tiara Dudley, that's going to be your final home game in a Mastodon uniform. Quick thought on T.
I'm sad to see it. I mean, T's a great kid, has been a great leader. She's been put in a really bad situation, not by her fault, not by mine, not by IPFW's. When we went Division I, remember she came here as a Division II center, and she does that job very well. She's 5'9", maybe 5'10", so she's undersized for the position. Last spring, we spent a lot of time trying to get her to the point where she could play outside facing the basket, and that's a lot of change to make in 1 year. And because of that, she's lost a starting spot, although she'll be starting Thursday night. You can bet on that. She lost that opportunity to start, and I've never heard a whimper. She has been absolutely one of the great team players I've ever been around. Her playing time has diminished considerably, not because she's not a good player, because she is. It's because she's been put in a bad situation in trying to play something that she's not done all of her life. And a lot of kids would have got their head down or would have, complained about it. This kid doesn't have a complaint in her body. She's one of the consummate team players you'll ever want to meet.
Well, we wish you well this coming week. 2 home games, at least home cooking. Don't have to get in a bus right away. Don't have to get in an airplane. Good luck this week, and we'll see what happens. See if we can start a new winning streak.
We're looking forward to it. We, as I told you, that conference that we started of 10 teams, we're 4-1, and we have every intent and every desire to be well over 500 win Indians.
Good luck.
All right.
We've been chatting with Bruce Patterson, head women's basketball coach here at IPFW. We'll take a break and come back with more of Mastodon Spotlight in just a moment.
If we do not take responsibility for saving animals from extinction, we allow a part of ourselves to die with them. Help World Wildlife Fund protect animals in the places where they live by ordering a free action kit. Together, we can leave our children a living planet.
Come in, she said, I'll give ya shelter from the storm.
I'm sick of this. I'm sick of dealing with you. I'm sick of
I work 6 days a week.
Who do you think you
Stand
are?
up straight.
Don't you ever talk back to me again! You just shut up!
What are you crying about?
What a child learns about violence, a child learns for life. Teach carefully. We can show you how. Act against violence. Call 877-ACT-WISE for a free brochure.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Time now to chat with what I believe is a happy men's head basketball coach here at the university, Doug Noll. And I say happy, Doug, because your ball club has won 2 games in a row.
Well, my coaches are never 100% happy. I found a lot of problems from the game Saturday, but no, you're right. We're thrilled that the guys are working hard. They have worked hard all year, but now some things are paying off. We're getting a few breaks that maybe we didn't get early in the year. Some shots are falling, and they've really stuck with it. I really got to give this group of young kids credit, and I think I told somebody here a while back that I've been fortunate in basketball to received a lot, and one year I was with a team that won a national championship. Had a team in Spring Arbor that was number 4 in the country, and great kids there, and I put this group up with those other 2 teams because of the great character of these guys, and they're great individuals. They're fun to be around. You struggle like anybody else, but it's really been a thrill to watch these young kids develop, watch the older kids lead, and watch everything come together. And we're just hoping really that in the last 6 games we can really put it together, and who knows, maybe finish the year double-figure wins, and that would really put us over 500 against mid-majors and lower, and I think that's really a great accomplishment for our first year.
Let me go back, if I can, for a minute, Doug. Let's go back to last Monday night down in Texas. You took on a team in Texas A&M Corpus Christi that figured to give you a rough game, and you had a tough game 2 days before when you lost a lead and lost a ball game to Texas Pan American. Thoughts on that game? Because in the first half, you're down by 10 at the break, and yet in the second half, you play great defense because you only hold them to 19 points, and you rally, and you win 70-68.
Yeah, Corpus Christi's a good basketball team, very athletic. They beat Pan American by 17, and we really thought going down there, worst scenario, we get a split, and best scenario, we would like to go on 2-0, and then we kind of came up short the first night against Pan American, and really didn't play well. Missed some free throws, and we weren't together as a group like I would have liked, and it was disappointing, and we really had to sit down on Sunday and kind of look at ourselves and decide, what this year was going to be about. And I was really proud of the kids. They had 49 points at halftime, Corpus Christi did on Monday night, and we just made some adjustments and said, guys, they're going to win 80% of their games when they score over 80, and when they score under 80, they win 20% of their games. Now that's, they still win some games, but let's play the percentages, and we had to hold them to 31. We jumped into our 2-3 matchup a little more. In fact, we played that most of the second half. Held them to 18 points, 0 of 6 from 3, 8 of 23 from the field, and just did an outstanding job of getting a lead about 7 minutes to go in the game and not relinquishing that lead. And it's very difficult to win on the road, as you know, and Purdue and IU know, and most everybody else knows in the country that you gotta win a few on the road and then take care of the home court, and we've tripled the road wins this year, and I've been really pleased with how we're starting to be a little tougher and a little more resilient on the road, and when you get home, like I said, you got to win the home games, and so that's what we're trying to do from here on out. We got 3 road games, 3 home games. And we've got a chance to really have a nice year.
Well, final score of that Monday night game was 70-68. You had a trio of sophomores that contributed. David Simon, 17 points, 8 of 10 from the floor. Rick Wyan, Terry Collins, 14 apiece. And that set things up for last Saturday's game, a game that we broadcast on Channel 56. You took on Youngstown State from the Horizon League. And I'm going to use the term weird. Saturday's game was a game that was weird in the sense that I thought IPFW had control of the game for the bulk of the 40 minutes. Yet, it took, in all honesty, a traveling call with 0.4 of a second left to keep this game from still being played as we speak. Your thoughts on, and we'll talk about the first half first, because in the first half there were 6 ties and 12 lead changes, and you were up at the break by 2.
Well, that's the great thing about basketball. You can't figure it out. And if you could, you'd be John Wooden or somebody. But, basketball is about spurts and runs and momentum. And who can sustain the longest and really who's going to be the best defensive team for a certain amount. We try to gauge each half in 4 wars of 5 minutes each, try to win each war, and hopefully win the game. And we knew Youngstown wasn't going to fold. They were looking for a road win, hadn't had one for a long time. Just beat Loyola 2 nights earlier, and took Butler to 4 at Butler. So they're not a bad team, but we really felt like we matched up well against them, and that we did some things against them. They don't shoot the ball particularly well from the outside. So, coming off that win at Corpus Christi, using our 2-3 matchup, we jumped back into that some, and kind of held them a little bit, and then, as young teams often do, sometimes late in a game, the net gets a little tight, and you try not to lose, rather than just stay aggressive and do what got you the 8-point lead. And when Kess hit that 3 with about 3 minutes and 20 seconds left, that gave us 8-point lead. Well, they come right down, and we miss a defensive assignment. We're not ready. They score a basket. They get another offensive putback and a foul. We missed 2 front ends of 1-on-1s. D'Angelo did, and so did Rick Wyan. And these kids are working hard. They want to win, but we've got to make our free throws down the stretch. And you're right. It was a strange game, and fortunately, it worked out in our behalf. I was a little disappointed because you're right. 0.4 of a second left. The kid made a basket, but he did travel. We watched the film. It was a gutsy call by the official, but it had to be made because it was right there in front of him, and he did travel, and I think Brad kind of got back under the basket, and he just saw him out of the corner of his eye just enough to try to gather himself, and so we're going to take it. I mean, we've had our struggles on the road this year, but right now we're about 6-6 versus mid-major on down. And that really shows me that we can play with a lot of these teams. Unfortunately, we were 0-12 against the high majors, and I really thought maybe we could knock one off this year. And Oregon State was probably the one we should have at the Coliseum. We didn't, but we got a chance to finish above 500 against mid-majors and maybe get into the double figures in wins. And we'll see if these guys want to do that. I really think they're capable.
Final score Saturday: 65-63. IPFW on top. This week, 2 big road games. Wednesday night, you're going down to Shreveport, just as Bruce Patterson did with the women's team last week, and you're going to take on a Centenary team. And then on Saturday, you're going to travel to Chicago and take on a very good Illinois, Chicago, Jimmy Collins' club, who's up there fighting for the Horizon lead. Tough week ahead.
Oh, no doubt. And, we got 2 full weeks left, and then a trip to Maine the following week. And so we're just concentrating right now on the 2 road games. Fred's working on Illinois, Chicago as we speak. Joe's already got Centenary done. So we're going to concentrate on that the next couple of days till we get down there and play them. They've just joined the Mid-Con, so we've really got a vested interest in going down there and playing well. And then they turn around, come back the following week and play us here. And it would be great to get 2 there and really push our Mid-Con record over the last 2 years to 7-3, and we got Chicago State in that mix, and we could finish 8-3, and I think that's a great selling point with that league. That hey, in the last 2 years we're very competitive in this league. And now, granted, we haven't played Valpo or Oral Roberts or Southern Utah, but I really believe that that's a great fit for us, as would the Horizon be. But 1 game at a time. It's going to go fast. It's a couple weeks from now. It's pretty much going to be all over. But I think our guys really have the incentive to finish this year, and I love the way we're playing right now. And Dave Simon's really getting tough inside, and Brandon Jennings has stepped up.
You're reading my mind. That was going to be my final question.
And,
those 2 players have really developed.
Oh, they really have, and it's been hard work, but they knew how to play a little bit. When they got here, it was just a matter of getting them adapted and acquainted to the high level of play. And really playing that tough schedule early, I think, is paying off for us right now. And you can't have letdowns right now, and hopefully we won't.
Well, congratulations on the 2-game winning streak. Have safe trips this week, and see if we talk to you next week. We're talking about a 4-game winning streak.
I hope you're right, Mike. Thanks a lot.
We've been visiting with Doug Knoll, head men's basketball coach here at IPFW. We'll take a break and come back with more of Mastodon Spotlight in just a moment.
As time flows on, there are places we return to again and again. Places that comfort us with their serenity. Places that astound us with their beauty. Places where our memories come to life. Precious places. Timeless places. Places that with your help can endure forever. I'm Paul Newman. Help the Nature Conservancy save the last great places around the world.
I was a liberal arts major in college.
I didn't speak a second language.
What could I?
What could I offer the Peace Corps?
The answer surprised me. I served in South Africa teaching HIV/AIDS awareness.
Working with my students in Nicaragua was a great experience. We taught each other a lot about our countries and cultures.
This is the Peace Corps today.
Redefine your world. Join the Peace Corps.
Apply now at peacecorps.gov.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you?
Would you put me on the spot?
True or false? Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer.
True.
I'd say false.
No, it's true.
That's something new to me.
The Office of the Surgeon General recommends all homes be tested for radon.
False.
It's true.
True.
So it's bad. We should get our house tested.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it.
1-800-SOS-RADON. How can you not call? 1-800-SOS-RADON.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. We hope you enjoyed our interviews with both coaches from IPFW basketball, Bruce Patterson, Doug Knoll, and with the three members of their respective teams. Before we go into what's ahead this week, I need to apologize to Terry Stefankowitz and Mike Harper because the women's soccer team did play in a tournament at the University of St. Francis across town last weekend. And never let it be said that we neglect when a team does well, if not, not too well. But the women's soccer team won 5 matches. They won the tournament at St. Francis last week, and they had 3 shutouts out of those 5 matches. They shut out Valparaiso twice, and in the finals they defeated the Cougars from the University of St. Francis, again a shutout. So congratulations to the women's soccer team. Again, didn't mean to neglect them, but want to make sure you're aware of that's also what's happening here at IPFW. Now, let's look ahead to what's happening this week. Women's basketball, the final 2 home games of the season taking place Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Wednesday night. Bruce Patterson's team plays host to Southeast Missouri State, a team that defeated IPFW down in Missouri last year. They come into this game with a record of 13-7. It'll be a tough game, but we'll see what happens on the court Wednesday night. And then Thursday night, it's senior night, special night for Tiara Dudley, her final game at home as a member of IPFW's women's basketball team, and they will play host to Texas Pan American. A tip-off both nights are at 7 o'clock, so get out here to the Gates Center and see that. Men's basketball, Wednesday night, they're down in Shreveport, Louisiana, taking on the Gents of Centenary, who come into the game with a record of 12-12. And then on Saturday, Doug Knoll takes his team to Chicago to take on Illinois Chicago, a team that right now is in second place in the Horizon League. So 2 games on the road for men's basketball this week. Also, men's volleyball, 2 home matches this week. Friday night, University of Findlay, second MIVA match, 7 p.m. And then Saturday, they take on Penn State. Penn State went to the Final Four. They hosted the Final Four last year. And if you can't get out to the Gates Center at 7 o'clock for that match, tune in to Channel 56. Kelly Hartley and I would be happy to bring you all the action. First serve around 7 p.m. Finally, 2 other quick sports. Women's tennis will play Akron University on Saturday at Warsaw. And then they travel to Toledo Sunday to take on the Rockets. So we wish them well in their matches. And then, weather permitting, believe it or not, men's baseball starts off. If the weather is good down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Billy Gernon's team will take on defending Mid-Con champion Oral Roberts this coming weekend. So That's the action that's going to take place here at IPFW this week. Again, thanks to everyone who appeared on the program, and thanks to you for tuning in to see what's going on with IPFW Athletics. Again, women's basketball Wednesday, Thursday, volleyball Friday and Saturday. If you can't make it in person for any of those matches, tune in to Channel 56 Saturday night for a big volleyball match against Penn State. That's it for this week. We invite you to come back next week for another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. But until next week, this is Mike Maas saying, have a great week and go Dons.